Hey, I thought it'd be fun to open the episode with a gift my family got me. So I was talking to Kyle before we started recording that I love a good crunchy snack. Like if you had to tell me to choose between savory and sweet, like if I was going to lose a taste bud, whatever, I'd rather lose sweet as much as that'd be painful because I love savory
I
food.
agree with that.
And so I love snacks and chips are great, but I also love peanuts in the shell. That's where we got to the crab and like talking about that kind of stuff. But just having a big bowl of peanuts in the shell, cracking them open, and just that's one of my favorite snacks. My family makes fun of me for it, and I don't really care. So they got me this. It's a big bin with this on the top.
Protect your nuts.
This is not a joke. This is a huge. Look how big this thing is.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So comical.
God damn. God damn.
You should
Dude,
take that
the
with
squirrels-
you into bars that let you just.
It's even got like the game with the
Texas
scoop.
Roadhouse.
It's got a big old scoop.
Oh,
I can
good
just scoop myself.
Oh,
some
Yeah, yeah.
peanuts.
Scooping them nuts.
I
Scooping
think you
up
got a
them
problem.
nuts.
I think you got a problem with nuts. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, so they're literally right here by me all day, every day. So I'm sitting here like work frustration. I just get a big scoop of peanuts, like
Yeah.
start cracking them. Yeah, it's great.
When you're extra frustrated, you just like the whole thing. Shell
Just
and
the
all.
whole shell.
I don't know if your digestive
I just
system's gonna
scoop,
like
just scoop.
that.
So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, that was one of my favorite because it's a silly
Love it.
present, but it's also like legitimately I love it. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things. It's not just like a little prop funny thing to have. Like I actually use it. I'm like, oh cool. Now I've got
The
peanuts.
prop by itself, great, but then actually filled with an obscene amount of peanuts,
Right.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta give my wife credit on that one. She's the one who she bought the scoop separately, bought the bin, got the decal to put on top that says "Protect your nuts" with the squirrel with the gun and all of it. Which, by the way, is that game out? I want to try that.
Dude,
squirrel with
it's not, but I can't wait. I can't wait. It
Play that
looks
one
so
a lot.
dumb. It looks so
It
dumb.
looks really stupid. Yeah.
It looks dumb, but I'm gonna stream the
Anyway.
hell out of it.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, we'll have to check that out. Hey,
Yeah.
by the way, we're in a podcast here. Let's get going. Episode 202. We are more than halfway through. We're more than halfway there, Jeff. Not only with the podcast episodes, as
Yes.
we regularly talk about,
We're always halfway there. That's not.
but
Yep.
with our Game of the Year wars from 2023, we're on the back half. We got this week, and then next week we're going to tackle overall Game of the Year. And I think by then we will have had enough time to either get back into our gaming groove, maybe even some new games will have come out, some news is going to start breaking, and we're going to have a lot to talk about. But for right now,
I freaking better get back in a gaming groove because this is ridiculous.
Didn't you play
You,
two
it's just-
demos? Didn't you play a demo this week?
you did.
One, that's it, and that was
you
it.
did-
That
you did
hour
good.
of gaming, I'm done.
That's
I'm done
good.
for the
That
month.
hour
I
of
don't know. I'm here
Yeah.
for
Dude,
it.
it just takes the right game, and then all
I
of a
think-
sudden
I
you'll
think
roll
POP
down.
is that. POP is that for me.
Prince of Persia could be that. Yeah, it could be Suicide Squad. You loved the alpha for that.
Man. Oh yeah, they released they've uplifted the NDA on that. Jeff, did you want to
Right.
actually say what you really thought about the game?
That's true. There's no more NDA on
Oh
that.
yeah, that's yeah.
Which is
yeah,
a
yeah.
Yeah,
bold
they lifted
move.
it thinking that was a reverse Uno and a good power play, but the guys, the game is so bland and like and just not
I
fun.
heard it was like
It's not
playing
fun.
Crackdown with somehow less personality, and I was
Yes.
like, ugh,
Ooh.
Yeah,
jeez.
yeah. That's how the gameplay is. Like, I mean, I'm not going to trash talk the cinematics or the story, especially because the
Yeah.
alpha doesn't really have a lot of that. But the cinematics are always going to be high quality. The voice acting is always going to be good.
Yep.
But yeah, the traversal is just really slow for me. And the combat's just fine. Like I don't hate it, but it's
Sure.
just it's fine. Like it's
It
there.
looks
It's
like
just
just
there.
way
Which
too much
coming
shit
down
on the
to-
screen, right?
Coming
Like,
down to fine is really bad for a game
Yeah.
that's, again, we just talked last
It's
week.
Rocksteady.
It's like for all
Yeah.
of us, it's one of our favorite like combat
Yeah.
systems, you know.
Yeah.
So
It's really
What a-
disappointing in my
Yeah.
opinion.
what a free fall from grace.
No kidding.
but like the amount of shit that's on it looks like a game from 10 years ago, right? Whereas it's just like it's just plastering numbers and crap all
Yeah,
over the
open
screen.
world
Like,
wise and gameplay wise, yes, yeah. I don't think graphically it still looks pretty decent.
right? Yeah, yeah.
There are some. Again, it's an alpha, so it doesn't really. I don't know. You can't really take it to heart and be like, "Well, this is the final product, right? So it's going to look like this."
Yeah, but it's coming out in like 3
But
weeks.
there are some designs that I'm like, you didn't even feel like designing a whole world. You felt like just doing like a
Yeah.
random bridges here and there, and they're all torn apart because of the apocalypse caused by the Justice League gone bad.
It's Metropolis, right? It's Superman's
Yeah,
neighborhood,
I think so.
right?
Yeah.
Neck of the
Yeah,
woods.
that sounds right.
I heard from somebody that, well, no, it was the IGN preview, I think, where they mentioned doing the boss fight with the Flash and how annoying that sounded. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I even want to get to a boss fight in that game. Like, I'm good. I just, it's just like the main thing that it had me doing in the alpha, you can swap between characters and stuff. Like stop your game and then go back and swap to somebody else. But the main thing it had you do at one point was like crowd control, and like just enemies just kept spawning, and some of them are bullet spongy and stuff. I kind of hated it. So I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't know. This all seems weird, man.
It's
like
not like I hate, again, it's not like I hate the combat. It's like the things that it had me doing. I was like, I don't really like this at all. Like,
this all sounds like it's a recipe for a disaster, and it just doesn't make sense with their previous games. Like,
it sounds familiar to Arcane with Redfall. It's like,
sure,
yeah, that's actually a really good parallel.
Yeah.
And then you have some studios where the executives go like, you know what we needed? More executives in the room. That would have helped.
Yeah.
And it's
well, that's what I'm wondering, if it was Suits, doing like, hey, do that Borderlands thing. Do that.
Yeah. Hey,
like,
do something we can microtransaction the crap out of, please.
Yeah. So.
Yep. So that'll be an interesting week where that game has released, but we'll talk about everything else. It sounds like outside of that game. I don't think many of us are going to be first in line to grab it, but who knows?
No.
We might.
Unless it's like a free thing.
$40 sale, I might buy it.
Right. Day of, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. If it were a Ubisoft game, that'd be the case, but since it's not, probably not going to happen. All right, guys.
One more final thought on it. I do like to watch them scramble, like in interviews, to not say the word live
sure
game
is
like
game
they will
keep saying
not
story.
Say the
story
word.
Guys,
like it's
story
so
is
crazy.
Priority. It's the king.
Anyways,
Story. Even if somebody point blank asks them, so like, what's the live service elements like? Well, let me tell you about the story.
The story.
That's not what I asked you.
Dude, that's like the Nate Bargatze Washington sketch. He's like, you asked about the temperature. I did not.
I did not. Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. All right, so listen, there's that. There are some new games coming out. There's I do recommend, if you've got a subscription to the Switch online service that gets you access to the Game Boy Advance games. I don't remember what level it is. I think you have to have the expansion pass plus. But both Golden Sun games are coming to that service, and those are just charming and lovely old school RPGs. They're so great. Now, are they classic to the level of like your Chrono Triggers and stuff like that? I don't personally think so, but they are really great. Like they're the next best thing. They're in that tier down from those.
It felt like you were getting away with something playing that level of a JRPG on a handheld. Like you were just like, whoa, like what? I didn't know this was possible.
There was some really cool, from what I remember, and I've only played the first one. I never played the second one, but I remember like there being some really unique ideas, like maybe puzzle related. There was just things that you can do in that game. I was like, oh, I haven't really seen something like this. Like
very cool stuff in that.
Some environmental things.
I regret to say I never played the third one when it finally came out after everyone begged and begged and begged for it.
I didn't even know there was a third. There's a third one?
There's a third, but I've heard
there's a third on the DS, right? Yeah.
Oh, I never played it.
So the first two are actually connected. There's actually an obscenely long code that you can like jot down and then carry to the second game. So it's like, because it's a direct continuation. But the third game is
Switch, by the way.
Yeah, exactly, which is awesome. The third game not related to those two. So.
Got it. I mean, dude, there's so many DS games that you could probably still surprise me with dozens of titles that I'm like, that came to DS?
Dude,
I had no idea.
The DS had some of the greatest RPGs and Castlevanias and best games ever. Like,
it really did. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so as a reminder for our rules for this, we've got a couple of ranked lists that we're going to work on together. It must be a 2023 release for most categories, except for one of the ones we have tonight, where there's some rules that will allow remakes, remasters, collections, DLC from past games. Those are all up for one of these categories. But for the most part, it needs to be a new release from this year, just to kind of keep things narrow and to make it fair for new games. That's all. That's the only reasoning for it. It just gives us like clear boundaries. That's all. But hey, you can go make your own list, dear listener and viewer. Make your own, and whatever rules you want. Has to have come out in the years 2015 or this year. That's your rule. That's fine. You make your own rules. Okay. And then we'll narrow that down to 10 and rank it 1 through 10. Tiebreakers, for the most part, we can usually handle that with hosts voting, and then Open Critic average can break that tie, if there's still one, which we did last week with one of our categories. As a quick recap, in case you're curious, some of the winners that we've had so far. Actually, I'll share my screen so everyone can see this first. Because I think there's been some, I've looked back on it and I'm like, if we were to do these same categories, we might end up with the same exact ones, but we might not, it's just funny to see how in a given week, how a conversation flows and how we're feeling about something.
Right.
You never know how things would have turned out on a different week, but this is where we landed from 2023. Final Fantasy 16 won Best Story. If you're watching on video, you can see the other games that were in that list. Best Music went to Final Fantasy 16. Dan, it's sweeping the current gen awards.
Yeah, get wrecked, America.
It should have won for Best Small Game. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah,
Sure.
Sea of Stars won for Best Small Game. And Best Combat went to Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
And now we are on to Best New Thing for an Old Game. So this is, instead of saying what's the best expansion or what's the best remake or whatever, we've just kind of made a silly title for a category that includes a lot of things. So any remake, any remaster, honestly, even if it's a re-release and you want to make a case that now that it's on a certain platform, now it's like, that's fine. Like I'm open to, this list is not exhaustive. If you've got something you know of, let me know. I'll throw it on here. But this also includes some of the heavy hitter remakes from this year that it's completely valid if you personally feel like Dead Space or Resident Evil 2 or Metroid Prime Remastered, Mario RPG, some of these excellent remakes / remasters that came out. That's your favorite game of the year, go for it. But we've excluded them, so we wanted to give them a chance to shine somehow, and this is a great list for that. So yeah, we'll just jump right into it. Best new thing.
I think it primarily, if it were any other year, I don't know that we would do something like this as a ranking.
Yeah, this might be a this year thing only, just depending on how.
Because there's so many, there's so much stuff.
One, it's so interesting to put something like Dead Space remake and Resident Evil 4 remake like right up against each other, which is probably is going to happen somewhere on this list, I imagine. So
yeah.
Like it just a lot of these things deserve a nice duke out between themselves, I think.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget too, time feels like it just flown by, like Burning Shores, that expansion for Horizon Forbidden West. That was 2023.
It came out like Q1, right? So it was like, I forgot about that instantly.
And it was,
generally speaking, everyone had positive things to say about it. It was beautiful, of course. It was
really good. Yeah.
Such a good time, but then it just kind of it leaves the brain, not purposefully. It just does.
Yeah. It was probably the most clear cut. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Hey, to start things off, let's just move that one over to the consideration list. Whoops, let me grab it. Let me actually grab it. There we go. All right, so Burning Shores, we're going to move over, of course. Yeah. I'm going to bring over God of War Ragnarok Valhalla because I've actually been playing that over last.
Can't wait to hear about that. Bring Cyberpunk over.
Phantom Liberty. Another game where it's like, how do we recognize this? The game, they pretty much retooled the entire main experience and then added on this ridiculous expansion.
I think Jeff and I both said this might have been a game of the year contender if we allowed it on our list. So
right.
Yep. Same could be said for Dead Space, I think. So we can move that one over. Right. And same could be.
This was on my personal top 10 for the majority of the year. So.
Yep.
Nice.
Dead Space.
Same with Resident Evil 4. Yeah.
Yep. Now, Kyle, I sometimes forget that Like a Dragon Ishin is a remake, right?
It is.
It is a remake, yeah. So you want to bring that one over?
The first time we got it here ever, but it has been out for a long time. So, and there are touch-ups and yada yada things added in as well. So,
now that you mentioned that, there's a series I completely left off of here because I know we didn't play it, and I'm just now thinking of it. But those wasn't it the Legend of or whatever that?
Oh, Trails, the Trails series, right?
They released at least 2,
Azure
might have been 3 that weren't previously in the US, but now they're out. Right. But I don't think any of us played all
those.
One came out last year, and we said the same thing. We were like, if any of us played this, we would probably be talking about this game right now, And then
I think
2 more came out since then.
Those were like 2011 or something. Like they're not. Yeah. It's not like they came out in Japan last year and we were waiting for a translation. Like they came out like 2 consoles ago, basically.
These were hotly awaited items that were played by many hardcore fans via like modded, ways and emulations and stuff like that. So yeah, hotly awaited. Wish we were more.
That's the best shout out we can give to them. I think is just to mention them because I I can't really fight for or against it. I will move over Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. Don't think it's a
Yes,
top
thank
10
you.
game for this particular list necessarily. It might be, but it is awesome. I loved revisiting
It's
that.
very cool.
I wish I played Dead Cells Return to Castlevania. That thing got 10s. That,
did.
I like that,
yeah.
and it's just very hard. It's supposed to be, it's really like end game content. So like it just picks up right where it thinks you should be if you had beaten the last game. You know,
Gotcha.
like which I didn't because that game is hard. So
I never
It is,
completed
you're
Dead
right.
Cells. I
Me
got
neither.
through a good chunk of it. I fired it back up because I bought the Return to Castlevania thing. Just based on the reviews alone, I was like, I have to try this. And I was getting reacclimated to the combat. It had been a couple years since I had played it. So I was getting reacclimated and stuff. And then as I kind of looked up how to access it, I was like, I don't think I'm nearly good enough to even get to where, because like you die or you make it to a certain point and then these bats flow across the screen, which they did for me, but then you still have to make it to a certain point to access that content. So I haven't done it yet. Fully plan on it though. But yeah, it is. There's a moment where like there's like it says something like you hear a call of whatever. Like there's not it's not Call of the Wild, but you know what I'm saying. Like it gives you some kind of notification that you hear the sounds coming from Castlevania or something. So, but that is a really cool one from what I've heard. That's we're not doing a secondhand rumors list here. We're doing things that we've actually played. Hey, what about this old Metal Gear Solid Master Collection? Huh?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, why not? Dan, I know you play Final Fantasy 14. Oh no, that's 16, huh? Echoes of the Fallen. Never mind.
Was there a 14
I was gonna ask if you played the new expansion, but no, that was last December.
Dawn Trail's not out yet, so.
That's right. Okay.
But Mario RPG,
Roman
of course.
numerals are hard, guys. That's the
RPG.
Yeah, Mario RPG.
Dude, Final Fantasy taught me Roman numerals.
Star Ocean Second Story R-worded.
Second Story R. I didn't play the add-on Dimension Shell Shock for TMNT, which is a bummer because it did look fun, but I didn't play it. I played a lot of V Rising Secrets of Gloomrot. I got through a good chunk of that new biome, so I'll at the very least give it a little love. Don't know if Future Redeemed. Kyle, did you get to this?
That.
You did?
Yes,
okay.
Very good. I didn't beat it. I do plan on to though.
Man, you played enough of it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I played like 8 hours. I think it's only like 14 to 15 hours long, so I'm about halfway through it.
Dan, did you ever get to the Tales of Arise DLC? Are you really truly going to play through that game again before you do that?
I'm not in a place right now where I'm even interested in touching the DLC. So yeah, I'm going to replay that game at some point, maybe even on stream. I really loved that game. So and then I'll maybe do the DLC. So
that game is such on a hardcore infinite backlog for me because like when I want to go back and play something like this is at one of the top of the list for me. Because I did like the 15 or so hours I played of it.
When you get it itching for some good cliffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, can we also do like / good cliffs?
Yeah, we can.
For the
Okay.
Yeah. Best cliffs in games. Yep.
Since we're throwing TLC.
Did you play the Awakened King DLC for Remnant 2, Kyle?
I haven't gotten to it yet. I've picked it up to try to get to it a couple times, and it's much like the Dracula DLC or the Castlevania DLC. It's a little tucked away, you know.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Don't want to go by secondhand, but I hear it's really good. People like it.
I know that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet had a couple different DLC packs. I couldn't remember what they were, nor did I want to try to list them here, so I just put DLC.
Leave those right where they are, Tim.
Leave them where they are.
That's where they belong.
Sure.
That's funny.
That's fine with me. System Shock, by the way, really cool.
I noticed that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 isn't on here because that's absolutely DLC.
Yeah.
And I'm
just
surprised you didn't put this on here at all.
You know what? I say we add it to not the consideration, but to the main column here, just as an FU to the game. You know?
Yeah, because it is absolutely DLC, and we should bring it over and recognize it as such.
Yeah.
add it to the bottom so it doesn't get the score of something else.
Yeah.
Call it put
so
duty though.
What is it just called?
Yeah,
Modern
duty. Yeah,
Modern Warfare 3. Yeah.
Duty like DOOTY, right? Duty.
Yeah.
Or D.
Or with a D if you want to make it extra silly.
Yeah.
Make it extra silly.
So that's gonna stay at the bottom under it's.
Yeah.
We're ranking it officially below the Katamari reroll game.
Yeah.
Which is probably really good.
I love Katamari.
People like those dumb games, so you know. Like,
didn't that get a 10 from some? Anyway, whatever.
I don't know, dude.
I love Katamari.
You just roll things up. I get it, but it's you know, much like Goat Simulator, not for me, bro.
I hear you.
But that's kind of what it's like.
Some people like rolling things up, you know. Some people
So-
out there like to.
Here
Rolling
are
up a
two that
J, rolling
here are
up to
two
work.
games that I know aren't necessarily super popular, but I love both of these. So like Pharaoh: A New Era is a remake of that old. There was a Pharaoh game. There was a Zeus game back in the day. It was a grid-based isometric kind of strategy city builder sort of game, and they redid Pharaoh, which is really cool. And the whole idea is like you build shrines to all the gods of Egypt and stuff, and fight other armies, and it's a good time. I like it. Not enough for me to fight for it, but it was a nice throwback to that was probably 2004 type of a game. It's been a minute. So, and then same with Might and Magic Clash of Heroes. I think I've talked to you guys about this before. It's kind of a puzzle RPG where you stack your units and then they kind of combine to create an attacking formation. Really cool game. I actually just replayed it on my Steam Deck over the holiday break. Love it. So, but not worth
Quake
fighting.
2 is a no for me in one of my yes or no segments, but that game looks really sharp.
Which
for
one?
Updated Quake 2 for an
Quake
updated
2.
version.
Yeah,
it's a very very sharp looking game.
Okay. Kirby. Any of you play enough Kirby to?
Yeah, I played it. It was fun. I didn't play like a lot of it, but it was fun.
Okay.
I didn't love it. It wasn't like Forgotten Land where it was like, oh, I love this a lot.
Yeah.
No.
I felt the same about Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, which is a remake of a really old, I think it's Capcom IP. It was a clever little adventure game where you like possess things in the environment because you're killed right at the beginning, and there's some time control involved and some possession happening. So it was creative and kind of clever, but it didn't hook me. But yeah, I think it was a cool one. I've heard not great things about the Front Mission remakes on the Switch.
They're really good games. That's what's sad, but yeah, I have also not heard great things. So
yeah, the first one
That's
and
a
then the
shame.
second one didn't get great general responses, both from fans and from critics. Were kind of like, oh, all right. So
if that was a litmus test to see if we can put this game back into circulation or the brand, it was a no.
It was a
It
no.
was a no. Yeah.
I hope
They
you're
yes
not waiting
and
for a
no'd it,
Front
and
Mission,
it
whatever.
nope,
Rebirth.
Oh, and sorry, I just deleted it. Rally Adventure from Forza Horizon 5. I think Jeff did a little bit of that one.
I beat it. I loved this
I was
expansion.
gonna say I heard really good stuff
All
about
right, well,
this.
let's put that in our consideration column. Echoes of the Fallen, those new missions from Final Fantasy 16.
Do them yet?
Yeah, it's more of Final Fantasy 16. It's not the one that we're all kind of waiting for, where he goes to a different place.
The Leviathan one.
Yeah. Yeah, this one is the Omega one, and it's more about like an artificial mother crystal that got created. Oh, by the way, there's another mother crystal. Like it's that kind of story.
Did you beat it, Jeff?
No. I got far enough into where they explain what the thing was that we're looking for.
Yeah. Okay.
Is anyone else disappointed that they didn't just use Mother Crystal as an expletive when they got mad about stuff? Like
Mother Crystal.
Mother Crystal.
Yeah. It is. That is.
I mean, I don't. I feel like celebrating Final Fantasy 16 in the other categories and not the DLC is fine. It's good, but like, I mean, it's more of what I love from the game. So I mean, it's not. It's not
probably something that like may feel good just naturally getting to it on like a playthrough instead of like this weird thing that's tacked on at the end after we've all beaten it a year ago.
Final battle. Yeah. So it's like the timing
That's
of it is you have everybody near you. Like
Agreed. All right, so I think that's everything. There's a few others that.
Risk of Rain Returns. I loved that remake.
That's not everything. What am I talking about? Metroid Prime Remastered. What are we doing? What are we doing, people?
There you go.
My eyes skipped right past it. Metroid Prime Remastered is on this list.
Risk of Rain Returns.
Risk of Rain Returns. I've heard so many good things about this.
Dude, it's so good. It's so hard though, but it's so good.
Yeah, I've heard.
Oh my god.
You've talked about it, and it's got me interested. And I've heard so many others just be like, "Hey, this is the way to play this game now." Like
you briefly mentioned, you and I played System Shock. At least like I played the demo, and I think I bought it too.
I didn't buy it, but I did play the demo. Yeah.
Really, really well made remake.
Yes. Yeah. Why does it look so good, but also
like a beloved, like that's an absolutely beloved game too.
Yeah.
Like it's not just some random.
It honors what it was before while also looking really good in 4K, like really good. I don't know how they did that. But it's just a little bit too demanding. It's not just a simple shooter. Like there's a lot going on. So I kind of
one of them.
I have to be in the right mood for it. Pretty much.
I would say it's a little more. Well, I haven't played enough Bethesda games, but it strikes me as more of a Bethesda style adventure with tons of like inventory. You can pick up everything. Like it's just a lot of that. It's a little more that than it is like.
But some, the maps are it's kind of Metroidvania-ish, but in a first-person format. So like some areas are going to be harder than others. Like you'll go into an area and it'll be like there's all these impossible enemies there, and then you'll be like, okay, I'm not going to go that way at this point in time.
Yeah.
Pick a different direction, basically.
Those little droids at the beginning could take you down pretty quick.
Yes, yeah. What the hell?
Yeah.
How did anybody beat those games? It's crazy. I don't.
Good call out on that one. Turok 3 apparently not great. So we have a little bit of a mixture of some swings and then some misses this year when it comes to some.
I don't know how the Baten Kaitos games got received or whatever, but I just want to say that hopefully we get more GameCube remasters, because the closer we get to Skies of Arcadia, the better humanity will be because of it. So
Kyle, I could talk for hours about Skies of Arcadia. Let's do it right now. Let's do it right now.
You know what? Let's jump in.
I love
one of the greatest JRPGs of all time that we don't talk about anymore because it's lost to time somewhere.
Yep.
I'm with you though on the GameCube remasters. Like, give me Eternal Darkness. I'd love to play Skies of Arcadia all the way through. I was like I don't know how to describe it. When we did a lot of gaming back in the day, when there wasn't as much multiplayer options, but we were interested in games like Skies of Arcadia, I remember being in my buddy's dorm room, staying up way too late. We both had early morning classes, and he's playing Skies of Arcadia, and I'm either looking stuff up for him or just watching him. And even though he's the one with the controller, I'm like his navigation buddy.
No, the co-pilot, man. Like, that's the best way to play JRPGs is like with the co-pilot. Someone with a guide or right there on a computer. Like, it becomes a cooperative game, even though one person's kind of controlling it. You know.
Exactly. So I have good memories of that game, but I can't really say that I've played it, even though I feel like I've experienced a lot of it. Really cool game.
I freaking love that game.
Okay, and then make sure that we didn't miss at least mentioning some of these other ones. There was a Metal Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, which, by the way, surprisingly cool little strategy games in the Mega Man universe. I just didn't play this collection. Okay, I think that's everything. So let's organize these in the consideration column and get into our ranked list here. More than I thought when I first kind of thought through this category. There's more than I thought. Thankfully, we only have 15 to narrow down.
Sure.
There's 5 that won't make it over.
That's not bad.
It's not bad.
That's not bad at all, considering like I feel like I know which 5 will survive or will not survive.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I kind of
at least I know a few. Like looking at the list, I'm like,
what do we think won't survive? That might help.
I don't think Risk of Rain Returns will make it. That's definitely like a me thing, and I don't think anybody else has played that remake.
Same with V Rising, maybe.
Remake, no.
Yeah, V Rising is a Tim thing, so I don't know that that'll make it either.
Well, those
I think Tim and I both felt like Advance Wars is worth mentioning, but not worth being on a 10.
Yeah, that might be one that stays over here.
A Rally Adventure was a me thing too. I beat it and I loved it. If I had to rank it, it would probably be in my 5 somewhere. Honestly, like I loved it so much. I didn't expect to though. That's probably an expectations thing.
Keep a darling, also. You know, Jeff.
You do need to keep a darling.
I'd rather
Risk of Rains maybe over that one, huh?
No, Yeah, let's keep it over here.
I feel pretty strongly about God of War Ragnarok.
Me too.
Valhalla.
Yeah, me too.
I won't take much convincing, but I do want to hear about it.
So we can talk about it more when we get to the ranking, because I think it's going to be it's got to be in the top 10. It's just one of the coolest, not only DLCs but like free. The more I play it, the more I'm like, how is this? Dude,
my whole friends list is playing this game. Like seriously, when I boot up my PS5, it's like blah blah blah, playing God of War Ragnarok, just all the way down the list. So, yeah, people are loving it.
One of the coolest free updates I've seen, outside of like an early access game where an update is actually them finishing the game, so it's not really a free update. Like the V Rising one, Secrets of Gloomrot, that game's in early access. So when they release a new biome, they're not just like being super kind to their purchasers to give them new content. They're still finishing the game. I don't know if that makes sense. Same with Valheim. But
this kind of felt like Ghost of Tsushima for me, where the game came out and then suddenly they had a really robust multiplayer for free, like 2 weeks later, and they're like, "Yeah, it's free. Here you go."
Great comparison.
There you go, guys. It's just the best, multiplayer thing anybody's
it's like one of the best multiplayers. Like that's not a live service game. One of the best multiplayer games that have come out in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's a fair comparison. Valhalla is very. I'm gonna keep saying it like that.
Valhalla.
Valhalla.
Well, Valhalla is very much in the same vein of like being as good as that and being too good to be free, basically.
All right, I'm gonna pop a few things over to what I think are shoe-ins for the top 10. We'll need to discuss them to figure out where they're ranked. But I think Phantom Liberty is definitely in there. I think Dead Space is definitely in there.
Yeah.
I think
RE4.
RE4 is definitely in there. I'm going to be a little upset if Metroid Prime Remastered doesn't get in there.
So it needs to be in there. Yeah.
All right, cool. Even if it's at the bottom, I just need it in there. It's so good.
Mario
RPG
got to be in there.
RPG, yeah.
Ishin's got to be in there.
Star Ocean Second Story R is just so. It's a definition of like how a remake should be. Like it's just.
I've got no qualms with that one being over there. I didn't play it a ton. I just played some of the demo, but I'm no issues with it being on the list either.
It's so effing.
Dan, did you play this one much? Second Story R?
No, I mean, so it's one of the Christmas games I got. I just haven't actually played it yet.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm excited for you to get that one.
Yeah, me too.
Like it. Okay.
I loved Burning Shores too. I think we all played, or I don't know if Dan did. I know Dan didn't play any games last year, so
Right. Yeah. True. No, I played games, just no DLCs. Because I had no time. There was no time.
I can't play your remakes and your old games. Get out of here. Other than Final Fantasy 1, I'll play that.
But I feel like 3 of 4 of us played it and really liked it. So I don't know. I feel like
I think it's on there.
I didn't beat it, but I did like it. Yeah, what I played of it, and I know I'll beat it before the next game comes out. Yeah.
All right. So if we do bring Valhalla over, that leaves us with
gotta
one
be
spot.
over there, dude. Yeah.
So that means
not Rally then.
I would rather get rid of Xenoblade and celebrate Metal Gear Solid than anything.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
Sure.
So if I'm gonna fight,
Xenoblade JRPG fans are just like, what the actual F, bro?
Yeah. Whatever. It is considered one of the greatest pieces of DLC ever made, though. So
it is.
Yeah.
Also,
I would rather
folks...
celebrate the goat of the collection of goats.
That's fair.
You know,
that's totally fair. Those are both kind of your
Dan has played that one too, so maybe he'll even be like, yeah.
He'll give you a yeah.
Metal Gear's pretty alright. Yeah, it's pretty alright.
Yeah, all right. I'll take all right.
Yeah, it's pretty alright.
The Future Redeemed DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Before we leave it in the consideration column, I will say that a lot of folks have that as one of their top games of the year. And they're like, I don't care that it's DLC. It's one of my favorite. Like, it felt like a full game.
It's that long, right? It's as long as Phantom Liberty or longer or something? Or
it was like 20 hours. I think it's supposed to be like 20 hours. Like
they did the same thing with the Golden Country one from the last game.
Gotcha.
What it was Golden.
Was Golden this Country? One has like ties to the other
games,
so that I think there's
just ties it all in and kind of creates
a narrative
like
element
epilogue.
It's got a good payoff. Yeah.
All right, so I think our honorable mentions consist of Advance Wars 1 and 2, Reboot Camp, Risk of Rain Returns, V Rising, Secrets of Gloomrot, Forza Horizon 5, Rally Adventure, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Future Redeemed. All excellent, either remakes or a collection in the case of Advance Wars, or add-on content.
By the way, about the Forza Horizon 5 DLC expansion, whatever you want to call it, I did not expect that to be the one I preferred over Hot Wheels. Like, I really thought they were going to nail the Hot Wheels, and I ended up not really caring for what they did with that.
Yeah.
This one, which is kind of surprising and disappointing and whatnot. But I feel like they got back to the roots of what made Horizon great.
I think you weren't alone in that. I think a lot of people were a little underwhelmed with the Hot Wheels stuff. Yeah. Because Forza Horizon 3 did such a good job with their Hot Wheels.
It's a double dip.
It's the best version.
So I wonder if it just didn't have the magic that it did the first time around.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we've got 10 over here. Let's organize these alphabetically. All right. Real quick, I'll just talk about God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. So it is indeed a kind of a roguelite experience where you, as Kratos, arrive on this island, and because you receive this note, and you and Mimir are talking about it, and so you go in, you kind of force your way in to Valhalla, as you shouldn't do, and it's kind of, think of like a Hades type of a game where you have either an arena or a place to explore that might have some some items to find and things like that. And you fight those enemies if they're in there, or you open up chests, that kind of thing. You upgrade as you go. And then, of course, at the beginning, it kicks you out automatically. Like, you can't keep going forever on your first run. There's a story they want to tell. So when you first get kicked out, you reunite with a bunch of characters you've seen before from the previous games, and they kind of set up what's happening. Like, why are you here? They're kind of mad at you, but then they also offer you support. And then that's when you get to see what your permanent upgrades will be. It's pretty basic stat increases, but you can upgrade your strength and defense and other things permanently. You can unlock a whole bunch of, by the way, new moves, which are cool, and some of your existing ones as well. And so in each run, you can really choose to focus in on, all right, I want to use this type of shield, because the shields have different abilities with how they block and how you use them. Right. Or this type, I want to focus on this weapon. You can use all the weapons. In some cases, you have to switch, as you guys remember from Ragnarok. But you really want usually focusing on one. I'm going to upgrade this one on this run. And when you go to start, one of them will be highlighted. One of your fury moves or your weapons will be highlighted, and that gives you bonus. I forget what they call it. It's like master points. I forget what the name of the currency is, but it gives you bonus points essentially for that run to upgrade things if you pick that one. And it seems to be random, but it's just the game's just trying to encourage you to try something different for your next run, which I thought was pretty cool the way they did that.
Yeah.
So, and there are bosses, like you build up to like mini bosses and then full on bosses, and it gets pretty epic and crazy stuff happens. There's some. I'm not going to spoil it. You guys need to play it. You play the old God of War games, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Didn't beat any of them, but yeah.
There is an element early in this game that if you play the early God of War games, you'll be like, I can't believe they're doing this. I'm just going to say it that way.
Wow.
I mean, I heard that. I remember like when people were first jumping in, it's like, wow, this is actually much more story heavy than
Big time.
There's a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Big time story heavy.
Yes.
But yes, if you played the original, you're going to be like, they're seriously having this is happening? Okay. So just play it.
Nice.
It's so worth it. And it's also a good reminder of why this game was our consensus pick for best game of 2022, best combat of that year, best performances, best story. I think it won like most of the things. If I remember correctly, I think it won most of the things for a good reason. It's just a masterpiece of a game.
Yeah, also because Elden Ring is just nobody liked it on this podcast.
Oh, what a piece of garbage that game is. Am I right, guys?
Nobody liked it.
Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned this. You mentioned Elden Ring. I almost put it on here, but I left it off because it's not official. But the Convergence mod, which is not made by FromSoft, is one of the coolest pieces of add-on content that I've ever played, but it wasn't official. Like it was made by modders, that kind of thing. But it's called the Convergence mod, and I can't recommend it enough. If you have completed Elden Ring, especially if you've already done New Game Plus and you're like, hey, I love that game, but I think I've seen it all the way through. That game just injects brand new life, all new classes and weapons and spells and storylines. They inject, I'm talking like, has to be over 100 hours worth of content that they've added to this thing.
Jeez.
It is fantastic.
Super cool.
They changed out what bosses show up where, so you don't repeat bosses like you did in the original game. And they have you start all over the map. Like depending on what class you pick, you're going to start somewhere new because of the story that you're in. Really fascinating. That team deserves, I hope they make money somehow off of that, because that is an amazing amount of work they put in. That's just a shout out to them. It's not an official, like, real new thing for an old game. I guess we could have included it, but I didn't. Anyway, so that's my take on Valhalla. I think it's excellent. It's one of my favorites now on this list. I wouldn't have thought to even play it. I honestly was thinking, that's cool they added that. I'm not really going to try it, I don't think.
As soon as I heard roguelite anything, I was like, I don't know if I want to play this. And then everybody on Reddit, in our group, anybody that's played it and even beaten it was like, no, there's a lot of story there, and you can play it on the lowest difficulty if you really want to beat it. Like, just do that,
And I am going to.
And there were people in Reddit that were
actually did really well playing on normal, like in the really. It never pushed back for me, and I know it was kind of hard for some, but like I'll bump it down just to get through it.
There were so many comments that were like, I beat the game on normal, and for Valhalla, I definitely bumped it down. The easiest.
Well, it's also reintroducing you to
that hard.
It reintroduces you to it. They have a good reason for you not to be at the same necessarily strength level initially too. They kind of explain that, which is interesting, and even talk about it. Mimir's kind of like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" Like, because you clearly have taken a step down in your abilities and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, "What happened?"
They did it in a smart way, not in a frustrating like game sequel way where like you're a refreshed person suddenly without
like Metroid and every
I was gonna say like Metroid is the classic example,
where some bad guy grabs you and you just kind of have this aura around you, and then you wake up, you've got like
away.
3 bars of health
just
now.
Shoot again.
No power.
You can't even roll.
You can't even roll. You can't even become a ball anymore. What's that about?
Kratos is getting old.
Anyway, so I just wanted to throw that out there for Valhalla. I do think that one is truly excellent. How many of you played Dead Space? Because I know there's love for Phantom Liberty, and we got to talk about that one. But what about Dead Space? How many of you played it? And
loved the Dead Space.
Loved it. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite horror games of all time. Definitely one of my favorite remakes of all time.
It's my second favorite horror game of all time, right behind Resident Evil 2.
Hey, mine's like Crimson Butterfly, Fatal Frame 2, Resident Evil 2, Dead Space. Like that's kind of
there you go.
that's my 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, that says a lot. And I know,
with just the history of like damn it, what was the name of the studio that freaking EA dissolved that made Dead Space? Visceral? Was it Visceral?
Visceral, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That whole thing was just such a bummer. And I don't know if it was because of 3, if 3 sold poorly or something like that, because 3 is obviously not. It's the worst one.
They were in the middle of a Star Wars game, I thought, when they got canceled, weren't they?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, so it's like I don't think
Visceral
3.
was on a
I
Star
think
Wars
EA was just like firing people and
Yeah.
liquidating companies at that or teams at that point. So
yeah, what they love to do.
It's cool the way that they didn't just like re-release it, they redid that game. Like they remade it.
They added voice acting to the main character, which he was famously a silent protagonist the first time around. A lot of just extra lore and story, and it's just and man, like that game is the most like, speaking of visceral, but like it's the most visceral game of all time. So like seeing it in this level of like detail and graphics was just awesome. And that game's spooky, man. That game is spooky. I was
it's just unbelievably spooky.
Yeah, it's just a very tense video game, So.
I mean, who doesn't want to be like inside some spacecraft with tight paths, and it's like 90% dark, and you just
so many times where I'll just like hear something like in the distance, I'll just turn around, I'm like, nah.
With something that has a face that sort of opens up to become its stomach mouth or whatever.
And I played this game, like I've beaten the game before, but they had remixed like where enemies came from, and like they moved things around enough so even if you played the game in a really diehard fashion, like something was gonna get you, And I got guys, I'm not gonna lie. I got a few times.
Well, I think they said something about the AI, like they specifically did something with that, like to throw you off, which is hilarious and terrifying. So
agreed. That's the real monster, guys. AI.
But the real monster was all the friends we made along the way. I thought.
It's all the
true. Very true.
So yeah, Dead Space definitely deserving of a spot in here. We'll figure out exactly where. Listen, Burning Shores added on to Horizon Forbidden West in some really cool ways, and it made arguably one of the best looking console experiences of the year on that PS5. If you had a screen to really show it off, I thought Burning Shores was an absolutely gorgeous.
So gorgeous.
It was so pretty.
So pretty. Oh my gosh.
And it was PS5 only, so you could tell it really allowed them to do more. Everything was more detailed.
Make the thing they wanted. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everything was really detailed in that new area you go to and all that. I know it's not a super lengthy DLC. I didn't complete it because I kind of lost interest in what was happening / got distracted by other games. But yeah, I didn't finish it, but I did like it. It's not like my favorite thing, but I did like it a lot. I want to make that clear. But Jeff, you loved it, right? Like, you loved it.
Yeah, I really, really liked it. Yeah. I've kind of come down over time on it, but it's really.
The only reason
really
I didn't play like that game is a real ramp up to relearn. Like it's a real. It's a lot to relearn. So like by the time I was getting back to it, I was like just getting the hang of it, and I'm just like, I'm not flowing right now. So I kind of just stopped it for that reason, because it is like it's a mechanic heavy video game, which is that's not a criticism. That's an absolute positive.
It's a little overwhelming to jump back in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cyberpunk can be kind of similar, especially when they reboot everything.
True. Everybody was not even playing field at that point, so that's fair.
Yeah, like you were playing a different game, so it's just like there is a level of like, okay, I gotta get back in the mind space of a year ago or 2 years ago or however old these games are. So it's that can be its own challenge.
Yeah, agreed.
I like the story the most with Burning Shores, though, more than I liked anything you were doing. I don't, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, combat wise, it didn't really feel like there was a huge evolution or anything that added that was super interesting other than what you already did in the main game. But yeah, there's a story reason that's like actually pretty cool. And your new companion, your new buddy, running buddy is, I don't know. There's just a lot of growth with Aloy's character in the DLC in particular. Like you sense some of it in the main game where she's like starting to actually open up again and make friends and stuff. And this one really emphasizes it even more. And I like that. I like the direction of her character. Yeah, dude, that stuff was really cool too. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I ended up just flying everywhere, but yeah, it was
it was it's same, but yeah, the boats were cool though.
Yeah, the boats were rad. skiff, the skiffs, if you will.
The skips.
I think I only used it initially when you had to for the story, and after that I was
Exactly.
like, yeah,
Same
I'm just
here.
gonna fast travel and fly. But thanks.
Yeah, but I remember
exactly.
saying like, yeah, this is cool. Yeah, and I probably only used it at like one other time when it made you do it, and I was just like, oh, this is cool. But yeah, I'm never choosing it to do it that way.
Am I remembering it correctly? I feel like I did have to use it again though, because don't they shoot you down in certain
do.
areas?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
it's the part right before the end where you're like raiding somebody's base or whatever, which is of course that's the main that's the main final mission for like every part. Oh no, I know what it was. It was like a Sunwing thing, and you have to dive underwater and then go back up. Or no, that's further in the DLC, I think.
Okay.
So you guys didn't get there yet, but that part is really freaking cool. Oh, I forgot about that. That part is so epic. Crap. Oh man. There's a bird that you get that has the ability to breathe underwater. God dang it, that part is so rad. I forgot.
That whole game is awesome.
Yeah, it is. But of course it's one of those things where it's like, of course they need me to go to a base for the final mission and like kill the bad guy. And I'm trying to remember who the bad guy was in the DLC, but it's somebody pretty famous like in the video game world. Walter Londra is the character name. Who is it voiced by? Isn't it the guy who's like in all the Star Wars stuff?
Londra?
What's a Star Wars?
Sam Witwer?
Yeah, Sam Witwer, isn't it him?
Oh,
Sam Witwer.
Yeah. Sam, he's Star is it Star Lord from the Force Unleashed?
Star Lord.
Not Star Lord.
Star Killer.
Star Killer. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, Star Lord.
Yes, you're right. He's Force Unleashed. That's him. Yeah.
You made me.
But
like,
he's done a ton of like.
I'm like what?
He's done a ton of like other animated. Star Wars
that he gets around.
Yeah, he's a little guy named Darth Maul. Ever heard of him?
Yeah, no big deal. Nobody's ever heard of that guy. Nobody
the
cares.
version that everybody likes.
I think
Yeah, exactly.
Dan was just thinking about Chris Pratt. He can't stop himself. Star Lord.
Hey, aren't we all, Tim?
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
But he's a great piece of garbage, and you know those people that from the main game that had this whole like god complex because they were like immortal or whatever. Spoilers on the game that's like a year old. But he's one of those people. He's one of those leftover Zenith.
That's
folks.
right. Okay, yeah. I remember that's coming back to me.
Yeah. And he has certain personality traits that are just gross. So it's a really good story, and it felt really good beating that ass. That dude deserved it. He deserved it. He was such an asshole. Loved beating that guy.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And
so a good story to go along with a really cool new area. Great. I mean, it's obviously worthy of being on here. Just figuring out where. Let's talk Phantom Liberty real quick before we keep going down the list. I only played a little bit of it because I finally did a full playthrough of Cyberpunk before the big fall rush of games hit.
That's awesome.
As I've talked about on the podcast, if you haven't heard it, I loved that game. So I had gotten to the point where I'd gotten before. I had spent about 20 hours on it before when it first released. So this time I got past that. I did like all the side stuff I could possibly find outside of like collectible style missions. I didn't do all of those, but I did a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, absolutely loved that game. All the improvements I think were wonderful. So it could actually be nominated twice for the Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 update. Was by itself an incredible update to their game. Really good. Like the main game was improved vastly, both in how you do all the RPG elements for your character, but also just the world itself. They did a lot of improvements in the game world as well. It's like super, super impressive what they did. And then Phantom Liberty, I just barely scratched the surface of. I'm talking like only helped to do the rescue part after the crash, like really at the beginning. I didn't really get far into it. So, but you guys played it a lot. And I think you liked it a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe a little, just a smidge. Good Lord, this DLC is just incredible, man. Expansion. And that feels like an insult to call it that because it's so in depth.
Like
it's absolutely incredible storytelling. With like some of the best music, like you know, that you'll hear all year. Like some of the best moments, cinematic as heck. You know, just like so many moments that were just like so breathtaking. Or just like, hey, look at all this real quick. Like it'll take you up really high somewhere. And it's like, see, the game likes to do that a lot. Where it's like, yeah, you like that, you know?
Yeah.
And I love how confident it felt after just years of it like being rightfully kicked while it was down. Rightfully so, you know, just like holding its tongue and just like taking its licks and just coming out swinging so hard. The best Cinderella story in video games, you know, since No Man's Sky, I would say. So
yeah, you know what's incredible when a development team does that, and they do it with at least an element of confident humility, as opposed to you guys all just don't get it, which some developers come out defensive.
Some people
right?
do
We
that.
see that.
Yeah.
And so, which is very frustrating to me. But or they finger point at other people, like it was this guy, this publisher, this whatever. They were like, no, we're gonna do better. So when you see a team like No Man's Sky at Hello Games or CDPR, now when they announce the sequel or their next project, everyone's hyped all over again, and there might be a little bit more trepidation on what to expect, but for the most part, everyone's like, "Yeah, man, I'll check out your new game." I love.
They've already said a couple things about the new Cyberpunk where I'm like, guys, chill out a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
They're like, Cyberpunk was just the beginning of our ideas.
Whoa, slow down.
It was training wheels compared to what we're about to do. I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Let's pump the brakes a little
more
bit,
of these.
You know?
A lot more.
And I'm the biggest fan.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready to like drink the Kool-Aid, and even I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I would like it if they made their announcement
say
like
less.
this. Just in
Say
TV.
way less.
Just continue like this like cool but confident thing, but quiet, cool and confident thing y'all been doing, and don't
Just do the work,
this thing
man.
again.
Yeah, for real.
I would
Just
love
do
it
what
if
Sean
they would
Murray did.
if they would have gotten up there and made their announcement about their next thing in a T-pose. I would have just loved it so much.
That would have been so
because,
good. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, yeah. So of course, Phantom Liberty, and the other thing, I've stayed so clear of spoilers on this. Like all I know is like who some of the actors are in it, like the faces of characters. Of course, I've seen, but 1,000%, I'm gonna play through this expansion. I know I'm gonna get lost in the world again and spend way too much time playing it again, which is
It
awesome.
feels so incredibly important, but yet so separate from like it's it's contained. You know what I mean? And it just felt like I was playing a new Cyberpunk game, to be honest.
That's awesome.
Like it really honestly did. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about it. I was really satisfied with the choices that my character made on my playthrough. And so I'm curious to see how things wrap up with Phantom Liberty as well.
Blood and wine of Cyberpunk.
Dude.
Sure.
Because Witcher 3 had a very satisfying ending. It was really good. And then that Hearts of Stone was a cool, it felt like one of the really high quality like side mission strings.
Werewolves,
kind of like the Red Baron thing, where it was just like, wow, this was really good, great characters, great story.
It felt like
they added in another Red Baron quest line. And then Blood and Wine came out, and they're like, now we're gonna take you to a totally new place with new vistas, new characters, totally new storyline, and give you a brand new ending for Geralt that was a little different and way more awesome than your last.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So anyway, Like a Dragon Ishin. I had to yell it because it had excellent.
Yeah, there's an exclamation point. You have to.
Yeah. Hey, so people love this game, Kyle. From what I've heard, the swords and stuff, and maybe a revolver or two.
Yeah, this game's got swords and stuff and guns. Yeah, this game's awesome, man. You know, like the Yakuza series is known, you know, for like just like beating people up with your bare hands. This one's like a lot more like, you know, parry heavy, and you still play it like a beat 'em up, but like the combat is just so good in this, and when you have the sword and gun combo, like the moves that you can do are just a lot of fun. But as always, you're here really for the melodrama. You're here for the incredibly ridiculous story. And man, I'm telling you, this is the best story they've told in the whole entire series. You know, yeah, Kiru's cool. He's like a tragic hero and all that good stuff or whatever. But like this, you have to experience like 20 games to get that story. This is one story, beginning, middle, and end. You can just get it all. And the stakes are very high. I feel like the twists are super earned. The moments with certain characters, you know, friends becoming allies, allies becoming enemies. Enemies becoming friends, and friends becoming enemies. You know, like it's just a lot of really cool stuff going on there. And it also has a lot of parallels to actual history. Real names are used, historical figures, moments in time, giant historical fires that happen in this. You know, kind of much like Blue-Eyed Samurai from earlier this year. They do a lot of homework in terms of just making historical parallels while telling a obviously fictional story. It's cool, man. I like this game quite a bit, and the side quests are super good. You know, all the little heartfelt little side stuff that you always get in all these games are great, and all the little mini games are super good. And it's got the best money making mini game of all the games, and it's like this little farm simulator. And I spent maybe 15 hours just like, you know,
I can't stop doing
planting seeds and like picking like, you know, vegetables and then chopping them up and then creating meals and selling those meals back to the city and stuff like that. And like, I spent like 15 hours just.
I like to picture that you actually put your sword and gun on the shelf and just went to a peaceful farming life for a little while.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's like, it's called Second Life. you know, and
So
like
what you're
he
telling me
goes
is
over
like
there
mini
and like
Harvest
he's
Moon,
just
Kyle?
what's that?
It was like mini Harvest Moon.
It's very much
within-
so. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
yeah.
that's bonkers.
Yeah,
That's
and
bonkers.
everything has its own mini game. The planting, the picking, the chopping, the cooking, the preparing
Jesus.
the foods. Everything is all like its own little mini game, you know. So very, very, very content rich video game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, just a good time. The only thing they could have just done without is like they added in a whole bunch of like live people who are like characters in the game, and they offer like almost nothing to anything. They're just kind of there, and it I don't know. It just it didn't. It was like the one big addition that I'm just like, yeah, you didn't really need that.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say that Sam Lake is in it. 'Cause I'm like, he's sneaking into all the games. Of it.
Sam Lake is in it. There's a dance number. They sing.
It's not a lake, guys. It's an ocean.
It's an ocean.
Well, keeping this train rolling, Kyle, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. I know that there were some, I thought, surprisingly negative reviews about this, but the more I read into them, people who love the Metal Gear series felt to me like really enjoyed this collection a lot. But I could be wrong.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, let's just be frank. This is the only way you can play these games without having old systems and old copies of these
Right.
video games. This is we're future proofing this game for another 25 years before it becomes another problem again. So
Yeah.
I think it's important that we do this to video games. You know, like right now I'm playing GTA 4, you know, on the Xbox 360, but blown up on the Xbox Series X or whatever. And like, things aren't meant to be blown up like that when things only ran at 720p when they came out.
Sure,
Like things
right.
aren't made to run at 4K. So like, even if you had copies of this stuff, playing old stuff on new televisions isn't always great. You know what I mean? But when you get remasters like this, like it's formatted for those type of outputs in the
That's a good
HD
point.
era and stuff like that. So I think it's just super important to maybe bring old games into this type of format and like adding stuff and everything like that. I think people wanted extra. I don't know what people wanted. I couldn't really.
I think
get a good
people
read on
wanted
that.
it to be like at least like a touch up, a remaster, like an actual
Yeah.
remaster. And it's like,
Yeah.
listen, it's Konami, guys. Like, you know, we're lucky that this even exists in this form. Like,
That's fair.
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know, it's a freaking godsend. So
So,
That's
you know,
fair.
again, it's just one of those things where it is a miracle that we have these games, especially how everything like shaped out and stuff like that. Like this is a series that I 4 or 5 years ago just go, that's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's hard to put that up, you know. I'm a huge fan, so it's like it was hard to just kind of be like, well, that was a good run, everybody, you know. So like getting something like this and then Delta coming out later this year, you know, like it's important and it's good. And if you do want all the extra stuff, like the encyclopedias there, all like the extra content from all over the years that have been accumulated are all on these discs or digital versions of these games. So concept art and they even have graphic novels. I have physical copies of all these graphic novels. They have digital versions of them in these games.
Oh, that's
They're
cool.
very, very, very cool. They have in-game books that were written like in-game, and like you can read all those in different versions as well.
Dude,
You know, so
they literally have the script, like the actual dialogue in the game. You could just read the dialogue like a movie script. Like it's insane.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy.
That is
So,
insane.
I do think it is a content rent. I'm talking 3 of the greatest games of all time and 2, early like NES style games as well that are pretty legendary. You know, hard to go back to. Don't get me wrong, but these this is a classic collection of video game history. And it sounds like we're going to be getting a volume 2. So
that seems to
maybe we're
be-
going to have this conversation again next year.
Absolutely in the cards for some of the other games in the series. Very cool. I'll quickly go over Metroid Prime Remastered. I think it needs to be on this list, although I think maybe Kyle played some of it. Did you play some of it? Yeah, you did. Okay. But listen, this is it's like a scene for scene, level for level remake, but they called it remaster. I don't know why. So I did some research into
So
this.
confusing.
I think it has to do with the terminology of they didn't change story or the actual like core gameplay at all, but the controls are completely different. If you ever played it on the GameCube, it was a very strange game to play on that controller. There's a lot of like locking on and the strafing. It just felt weird. It just wasn't quite. It's not what you would expect. Like if they had controlled the same way as that, it'd be very strange. So the controls are completely updated. It plays exactly like a first-person shooter should play. It looks really sharp. Is it is it the best graphics? No, like it's still got the polygons and kind of flat surfaces and
Looks
stuff
good
like
for
that.
a 25-year-old game or however old
But
it is, you know?
yeah, if you see the side by side, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, they made this game beautiful. They added a ton of detail to it, and the team that did it redid it from the ground up. That's one thing that I think was missed with this for some reason.
Yeah.
Because of the
I
work.
didn't know this until a few weeks ago when we were talking about it in chat, you know?
Yeah, like they call it remastered in the title, which I think is it kind of sells it a little bit short based on the work that this team did on this game. But it's gorgeous. It's great. It's got a great Metroid story. Nothing that's gonna like shock you necessarily, but there are some cool things that happen. And it's just a fantastic first-person shooter. Switch doesn't have a whole lot of those, and this is a really good one. So
Well, that's why it's such a beloved series, you know? Like, we're still waiting for Metroid Prime 4 after its 2017 announcement, so.
Yep. I remember playing, because I didn't play, I think I
Those are
might have
real
tried,
dates, guys.
I think I might have tried this
Yes,
one on the
yeah.
GameCube, but then I got the trilogy on the Wii a long time ago and played through all three, and they're so fun. I think the third one is absolutely fantastic. So I really hope that the other ones do come out as well. As a eventual fourth one. Hey, Resident Evil 4 also came out. Talk about two games that are just beloved from my past. I almost said childhood, but I wasn't really little when these games came out. But anyway, love both these games so much. And Dan, I know that you're a RE2 guy. I know that you are, but I also know you do really like RE4.
Resident Evil as a series is like a top 5 series for me. Like, I mean, the first PlayStation 1 game I owned was Resident Evil 2, which is why I love 2 so much. But yeah, I love the series, and I mean, could you imagine getting 2 remakes of like 2 amazing horror games in the same? Like, what was 2023? What even was that?
What was it?
I don't know, man. Yeah,
Like, I don't.
because
they were
these
like
are
2
just
months
like
apart.
these are just a couple horror games. These are 2 of the most beloved horror games of all time
Yeah.
getting remakes. Like, it's
Like,
crazy.
seriously, insane.
Yeah,
It's
most
almost
people's
like they were
top 10
talking to each other.
lists. Before this past year, you said give me a top 10 of horror games. A lot of people would have put both of these games on that top.
Oh yeah. 100%. And yeah, I mean, because 4 changed. 4 was like really important to the franchise because it changed so much, going from 1, 2, and 3, like the tank controls and just being on play. They were all 3 of those were on PlayStation 1. So obviously then you get the visual upgrades too. But I don't know if you guys remember the trailers, or maybe there was just a couple trailers of the original Resident Evil 4 back in the day.
I don't remember the trailers.
Talk about In the Mansion.
Yeah, with
ghost
like
ones?
almost like kind of the ghost monster.
Yeah, the ghost thing. Yeah.
Which I think
they actually released that. You could like play that like that level or whatever.
Oh,
I think maybe it was only on PC or something like that. Obviously, like
Okay.
someone like stripped that code and but yeah.
I think that's what ended up turning into Devil May Cry, because fun fact, that's how Devil May Cry even became a thing. It sort of like peeled off of like what they were doing with that initially with Resident Evil 4, and then it became his own thing. I don't know if you guys knew that, but
I did not know that.
Devil May Cry came out way before Resident Evil 4.
Dan, I think you've said this before about the connection between those two.
hold on,
but
let me double check the dates, but I'm pretty sure that's the order of the events.
weren't they both PS2 games?
Yeah, they were. Well,
They were
I mean,
both
technically, it was GameCube first for Resident Evil. It was like an exclusive.
Yeah, that's true.
event.
Yeah, so
But it was
want to
that
look at the
it was
GameCube
that
release date, for
generation.
sure.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just I don't know. Resident Evil 4, like it's not my favorite, but like
I remember being a freshman when Devil May Cry came out, and I was a junior when Resident Evil 4 came out.
Was that just the PS2 release though? Maybe I don't know.
No,
Yeah, 'cause I know-
I remember reading
The
Game
GameCube.
Informer, and like reading like blurbs about like Resident Evil 4 before it came out in creative writing when I was in junior
Got
year of class.
Yeah, when I think back on both
Poor
those
memory.
games, yeah, when I think back, I think of like they're kind of from that same lump of memories of gaming for me. So I guess I didn't really remember which one came out
All right,
first.
so maybe it was the other way around, but I know there's a connection between those two games. So
Yeah,
maybe
I
it was.
want to know about this connection, so we'll put a pin in this and we'll
Yeah,
get to
because
the
Devil
bottom
May
of it.
Cry was 2001, and then Resident Evil 4 was 2005. Okay, so
So I gotta say, I'm not a Resident Evil fanboy, but I'm not a hater. I just didn't. I just could not enjoy those games with the tank controls. I loved the adventure aspect,
Sure,
like solving
sure.
the puzzles. I remember playing in a very similar situation. Same guy in my dorm room who had the Dreamcast. We played a lot of Code Veronica kind of as a group playing that. Was it Code Veronica on the Dreamcast?
That was
Anyway,
Dreamcast,
Yeah.
So I didn't become a fan of the series until 4. And really at that point I was like, no, I'm just a fan of that game. That's the only game I'm a fan of. Now since then, I did play a little bit of 5. I was like, that game's kind of fun. I think I would have liked that if I would have played it back in the day. Love 7, love Village, i.e. 8, whatever you want to call it. Love those games. And so yeah, 4 made me a fan because it allowed me to play a game in a way that I enjoy playing games, and it let me experience the Resident Evil world and just kind of the vibe that they have when they create a game.
It
So
also
I love
created the way that we interact with third-person shooters.
the
today.
over-the-shoulder thing.
Oh yeah.
Today,
Yeah,
they
they-
still use that.
Yeah, they basically came out and
created
said,
that.
"This is how we're gonna do this," and then everyone's like, "Yeah, no, that
Everyone's
makes
like,
sense."
yeah, we're gonna do that going forward. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason
Yeah.
that God of War Ragnarok looks the way it is from that angle, Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought this remake was gorgeous, absolutely beautiful remake. They added, I thought, the right amount of things. I think that
Yeah.
it was, if it was already your favorite Resident Evil, I don't think this necessarily changed that. I don't think it was like, oh, well, this version's no good. I haven't talked to anyone or heard from anyone who thinks this was a bad
Everybody
version.
like this
That game.
replaced that.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Most people,
like,
you know?
This is the
Resident-
definitive
the-
way to play it.
The original Resident Evil 4 wasn't like tank controls like 1, 2, and 3, but it wasn't like the way that it is now, where they
yeah, it was
modernized
still
the
kind of
controls.
tanky because like
It was
you'd have
tanky.
to,
Yeah,
you'd
yeah,
have to plant and shoot.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
at
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
which everyone like to this day kind of
Um,
makes fun of. But
Yep.
But,
I
like,
remember
yeah,
playing
they-
the Wii version too and thinking, oh, it was like slight improvements in some areas because
Yeah.
the Wii was a newer
Yeah.
console a little bit.
everyone
But
loves that version too. Like
It was a good
like,
one.
I remember when the Wii
the point
remote-
and
we were
aim.
all like transfixed by waggling
Yeah.
at that time. Like that was like one of the shining examples of why that
Waggle.
worked.
like the drummer at that one award show, is he trying
Yeah.
to show you how to drum? Yeah. Okay, we got to keep things rolling here. But yes, Resident Evil 4, I agree. It's on the top of my list. When I look at all these things, it's actually my favorite new thing for an old game. That's my favorite one, followed by Metroid Prime Remastered. Second story R for Star Ocean. I think maybe Jeff played this the most. I'm trying to remember who played what. Sorry.
Yeah, I think because I haven't touched it at all yet. So
Dang, has anybody else touched it?
I played
Yeah.
the demo.
I'm like 10 hours in. Yeah.
Yeah, this game is excellent, man. Holy crap! It's visually speaking, it's how I would imagine a remake should be. Honestly, like aside
Yeah.
from obviously like obviously Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space had a lot more to work with. But just in terms of how they honored, kind of like System Shock, how they honored the previous style, like keeping the characters pixelated, but the backgrounds are just like Octopath Traveler 2, like just so freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, even the grass. I was like, look at that grass.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the way it's moving too. Like I don't know. It's retro and new looking at the same time.
yeah. It's incredible. I know the combat might not be everybody's cup of tea because it's not turn-based. You just kind of go up to them and, hey, you know, you
It's a
can
different-
button mash, but it's different. It's
it's
different.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of these games were like that at the time, and people like, I don't want to do turn-based games. Like this was kind of the alternative for the
That's right.
longest time.
Oh, interesting, okay.
This
Yeah.
style, like
Star
it's-
Ocean was known for
Star
that.
Ocean used the later ones obviously as well, kept on using these.
Yep.
I think
Tales
it's
were also
somewhat-
kind of like
yeah,
this back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah.
The Tales.
This is my first
series.
exposure to a Star Ocean game firsthand. Like I've only seen like gameplay before videos. So like
Yeah.
I didn't know that's how they operated like at all.
yeah, they're
Because
more
even from gameplay videos, I was just kind of like, oh, it must be like a weird fluid turn-based thing. Nope, just go up there and wail on them, dude.
Now, Dan, I know you didn't play
it's
this
cool though.
remake, but I'm trying to remember. I feel like you've liked some Star Ocean games in the past, right? Haven't you been a fan? Or
So
no?
I remember back in the day playing a translated ROM of Star Ocean 1, which that game for Super Nintendo, like gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
holy crap. Like if you go and watch like a video of it, it's like, how did they do this on Super Nintendo? It's actually one of the best looking Super Nintendo games ever made.
Dang.
But like the third one is actually, so the third one, which is Star Ocean Till End of Time, is
That's
actually,
the PS2 one.
yeah, that's the first one I actually like really like actually like sat down and played and beat.
Okay.
And that one is fantastic. I remember loving that.
So
one.
good. Yeah.
I think 2 and 3 are like the ones that usually the fans are the biggest fans. Like the people enjoy
people
the most.
like 2 the most, yeah, and 1 became a pretty big favorite because there was a remake of that one, on PSP years back, also very good. Not a remake, but like this one, like a
They like kind of redid it for PSP. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This series, I
Another
like
thing after 3 is kind of. I know you liked 1, The Last Hope, right?
So 4, Last Hope. I think 4 is like really fun. It's got a good it's got a good speed to the combat. The combat's like really fun, really fluid. I don't remember the specifics, but there's like a system in there where there's kind of like you do certain things, I think, like consecutively, and there's like a reward for that, and things kind of start stacking up. So it's like really fun, like doing the thing that it wants you to do, and then like you're getting more XP and more money and stuff like that. In the 4th one. And then after that, I've not played any of them because they've kind of been not so great. So
yeah, which is why the reason I'm asking that too is not just to get into a Star Ocean series deep dive, but that's what I think makes this remake significant, is that I think as a series has always been kind of viewed as overall mid with some high points throughout the series.
Yeah,
that's the vibe I
not
get.
Playing the same ball game that like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest and
yes,
stuff like Dragon Warrior.
First half stronger than second half.
That's fair. Yeah, that's totally fair. So it's just the only reason I bring that up is to try to. I'm not trying to be negative about it. I'm trying to be positive. To say like it's cool to see the Star Ocean series get something so positive. Like, hey,
oh, absolutely,
this can be really, because I know the recent ones have been, at least in the eyes of some, a bit of a letdown, like not quite delivering what fans are wanting, what would hook people in. So
do you know what's a really big win? Do you know what's a really big win, Tim? Is the main character of this game doesn't have a stupid mullet.
Yeah, listening to you make fun of the main character of the last one was one of my favorite things. I was like, Dan, talk more about the Star Ocean protagonist.
No, but for real though, who okayed that character?
It's one of the worst character designs I've
mullets
ever seen.
are back, Dan. Mullets are back. I don't know what to tell you.
They were never in. I don't mean to break it to anybody.
Yeah, mullets have never left. They're just
the only time it was ever cool is when Solid Snake wore one in Metal Gear Solid 2. It's the only time.
Yes,
and Snake was cool. That was cool.
Like from the John Carpenter movies. That's
and no one's as cool as Solid Snake, so one.
That's just the truth. Yeah.
Oh, also Logan Paul, he's pretty cool. He has a mullet. Anybody?
Sure.
Okay.
Tim.
I mean, well, he's good at wrestling, but that's literally the only compliment I ever want to give that guy.
Fair. That's totally fair.
Dude, I didn't even know that there were 2 of those people. They're brothers. There's 2 guys.
They're brothers.
Yeah,
and it's hard to argue which one's worse, though, honestly.
No, I don't know which one's which, so
they're both pretty terrible.
They're one person to me that are just sometimes in 2 different places.
Sure. Yeah.
And Dan, let's finish things out on our kind of overview before we'll do some ranking with Super Mario RPG. I remember when this got announced, I was like, I think Dan might be dead. When they announced. When they showed the little opening of Princess Peach in her garden, I thought, oh, cool, they're going to release it on the Switch. And then it switched to the new graphics, and I was like, uh-oh.
Dude, my wife probably thought I was dead because I literally yelled. Like I said this before when we first talked about it. I'm down here in the finished basement. This is where my room is. Right above me is the kitchen. My wife was feeding the stray cat. He's a very cute fella. We call him Scavenger because he's just scavenging the neighborhood for food. He's a little mooch. He's a little mooch. And I yelled loud enough that she could hear me. Like, but this room is like this room is pretty like soundproofed. Like, when I set it up, and she heard me yell. Like I was getting teary eyed. I don't care. Derek's not here, so there were tears.
We're allowed to cry now, Dan. That's allowed.
Yeah, we're. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God.
We're taking steps forward in 2024.
Tearing up because this is
the first
years.
Yeah, the years
of tears.
But
now, Dan, we've talked about Super Mario RPG a lot. Like we've been on various podcasts together for several years now, and this game has come up on the regular throughout various conversations about, I wish they would at least give me a modern version of that one, but please make a second one. Like that version of that conversation has come up a lot. So they gave you a remake while still staying faithful to the original in so many ways. Is that what you wanted? Did you want it to be that? I mean, I would say that it's actually very faithful to even how it feels when you're jumping around the level. Feels very faithful to it, for better or for worse. It feels the same.
Yeah,
Tim,
walking around, like the map,
it feels
exactly for words is a good way to put it because it does feel a little dated, but like that's kind of.
I kind of love that.
I wanted that, right? Like I kind of, I don't know.
So guys, I'm a simple man. All right, I'm a simple man. No, for me it's like I just it existing at all is like much like with Metal Gear Solid Collection. It's like thank God, like for as far as games and game preservation, less concerning with Nintendo with those things as opposed to Konami. But yeah, just it existing in the form that it exists, how charming it looks. The fact that Yoko Shimomura, who did the soundtrack for the original back in the day, for anybody who doesn't know Yoko Shimomura, she's the composer at Square, does the Kingdom Hearts soundtrack, did Final Fantasy 15. She's very talented. She came back and redid the soundtrack for this. So look, it sounds modern, it's orchestral, it's a whole thing. You can swap back and forth, which is amazing. Like if you want to listen to the old music, you can, or the new music. They added little tweaks to the gameplay, which is really cool. They did the like combo attack thing. There's a meter on the bottom, and you can do these really cool spectacle type attacks. Just like little indicators on the screen of like because the whole point of the combat is you're timing attacks to do extra damage. So there's like these little indicators that weren't there before, just to kind of ease you into that for anyone who's not familiar with that kind of combat.
And you can turn that stuff on and off. Like, yeah, give me help in the combat or don't.
I think there's the two modes. Yeah, I think there's a story mode and then normal mode or whatever. I can't remember. I think there is.
I was pretty sure there was options where I could show me the sound and the. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I probably just chose normal because I'm like, no, just give me the stuff. Yeah. Give me the normal.
Pro gamer.
Pro gamer.
MLG.
Because that game is very hard.
Yeah. So what a delightful revisit with modern day feel. I mean, the music is just
it's like the definition of a cozy game to me.
Yeah, very comfortable. This is the good old comfort food, and yet it was like upgraded. It's like getting comfort food that you remember from your childhood, but they're just making sure that it's like safe to eat based on today's standards. You know what I mean? Like
it
was
made
just
with like real ingredients now and
real
not processed.
It's like having a really nice classic car that's like all banged up and whatever, and then you just give it a nice coat of paint and you fix all the dings and you do all the stuff. You're like, wow, look at this thing. This thing's beautiful.
Like one of those renovation reality shows where they fix it up at the end. They're like, we only have till Tuesday, guys, and then it always comes together again.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about. All right, guys. Well, that's our 10, and I knew this would take time just to reminisce and have fun. Let's get into the ranking real quick, and then we'll move on with other stuff. I'm also just wanted to get a feel for who played what and what the vibe is from everyone on everything. Dan, did you play Phantom Liberty?
No.
Okay. We established that he didn't play any games from this year.
Yeah, no games. Played absolutely nothing.
We did establish that. You're right.
Also, I don't know if it's probably on me. Maybe we did have the collective conversation about adding DLCs in here, but the DLC with the remakes and remasters is completely throwing me off. So, but you guys seem okay with it.
So what did we miss? Did we miss something?
No. I'm saying like putting DLC with remasters and remakes to me is very strange. But I see
what you're saying.
That's why the category is called best new.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm just saying. To me, in my brain, they're two completely different things. So
you're not wrong. It's just like our next category is visuals. You can make an argument that trying to compare pixel graphics with modern day graphics is completely different. Why would we ever I get it, but it all falls under the visual category. To me, this falls under the core. I should have said at the beginning, the core feeling of give me a good reason to revisit an old game, a good expansion, a good DLC, or a great remake or remaster.
And I would also argue that there is no DLC on this list. So,
oh, that's true.
Yeah. So you can just not make it complicated because there's literally not DLC on this list.
Well, Valhalla,
you mean like in the expansion wise?
Yeah. I guess Valhalla is kind of DLC. I guess that'd be the one exception.
Yeah, but it's like 10 hours or something. It's kind of long.
It's so good. It's so good, guys.
I'd also call it a new game mode. You know, if we were.
It is. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
New shit. That's new shit.
That's actually that should have been the title of the category. I apologize that I missed that one, guys.
New shit. Well, in that case, put Call of Duty back in there.
That would. You're right.
Duty.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a sentence that never needs to be said, Dan. That brings Call of Duty
there's
back.
Nothing new about Call of Duty.
You know what? I'll just leave. I'm sorry.
Okay, so thinking of just based on what everyone was saying, I feel like stuff like Phantom Liberty, Resident Evil 4, I think these are towards the top. Mario RPG, maybe?
Dead Space for sure, I would say.
Dead Space. I think these are up towards the top half. I'm trying to split them into half, basically, is what I'm trying to do here. I feel like Metroid Prime and Second Story both have a lot of love, but likely in the bottom half. I just don't know where.
Now, Kyle, I don't know if you agree with me. Metal Gear maybe at the bottom.
I would be totally okay with Metal Gear being at the bottom. Yeah,
because again, it's not doing anything crazy.
It's a collection, you know.
That's fair.
Like it is not quite a remaster. It's not quite a remake.
All right, so that might be at the very bottom.
You know, it is just a collection.
And I feel like Valhalla, Burning Shores, and Ishin are somewhere in the middle here. I don't have a strong preference necessarily over which goes over which.
I think all three of those are games that just one of us really played, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. Any Jeff or Dan, any disagreement with that? Like these are kind of our top 4 groupings somehow up here.
I like it.
Middle and bottom. Am I off? Jeffrey, you're quiet. What are you thinking?
I haven't played Resident Evil 4 or Dead Space, so I'm a worthless sack of crap. When it comes to those.
I haven't played Dead Space either.
Harsh, but sure.
I haven't played Dead Space either.
Worthless
I would put
piece of shit. Right.
So because of that, to me, Valhalla and Burning Shores are like obviously over Dead Space. I didn't play Dead Space, but that's just my personal take on it. Otherwise, and Metroid Prime, which is my second favorite new thing in an old game. So yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it. But I think based on the what we've been saying about him, this feels about right. So I'm going to go ahead and put Metal Gear Solid Master Collection at number 10.
Yeah.
I think Kyle, where would you're the only other one who's played some Metroid Prime Remastered. I'm curious.
No.
I thought no, you played it?
Yeah, I played it.
Should have spoke up earlier.
Yeah.
I forgot that you played some of this.
Yeah.
All right. What did you think of your time with it?
I spaced out. Sorry. I was in Jeff land. I dead spaced out. Yeah, this game freaking rules, dude. It feels like, I mean, obviously I'm not a GameCube. I didn't even own one, I don't think. That was like an era of gaming that would just slip by me. So like I would not have known. I didn't know that it played maybe a little jankier or whatever, clunkier before. I have no idea. I can just tell you that playing this game feels like a modern shooter right now. Like it's just, this remaster is just freaking excellent.
It looks great on the little Switch handheld.
It really does, dude. Yeah. Like I just couldn't believe it was just a remaster. Like I just didn't. That blew my mind. But like you said, because I did hear that part, I didn't tune out of that part when you explained what makes it a remake. Guys, I got a lot going on, okay? But no, yeah, I did. I loved it. I loved what I played of it for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Kyle, it's for both of you guys. So Burning Shores and Ishin, would you both still rank Metroid Prime Remastered under those two? I
mean, Like a Dragon Ishin is my number 1 of the year.
Okay, so then definitely
this list,
over Phantom Liberty?
Just we can get into it, but we're not going to have to because it's not my list; it's a collective list. And then I'm talking just on this list, you know, like in terms of like expansions and remakes going against each other. But like I'm totally fine with that being lower because I'm literally the only person who actually like put some real time into it. So
and
yeah,
Jeff,
I diddled it. So
you would have Burning Shores over Remastered, right? Over Metroid Prime Remastered.
Yeah, just because I beat it and I like the story a lot and.
All right, so
some of the more epic spectacle moments, yeah. I'm
gonna put Ishin above Valhalla. I'm gonna put Burning Shores right above Valhalla. Maybe? How do we feel about that?
Valhalla's like my number 2.
Did you play it?
Yes.
Dang it,
Where
Jeff.
have you been all episode, Jeff?
I've been agreeing with everything Tim's been saying about it.
I'm so sorry. I think I'm steamrolling you because I don't think I've eaten enough this evening, and so as soon as I started drinking a beer, I started getting a little louder, real fast.
Tim, there's a problem. There's an easy solution to that. You got a bucket full of nuts right beside you.
I do. I could balance it out with the protein.
If only you had a nut bucket.
I have a literal nut bucket right here. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh, man. So yeah, I feel very strongly about Valhalla, but I have Phantom Liberty is like my number 1, so it's I have a thing to champion, you know what I mean?
That's the thing I'm probably gonna ultimately end up like, come on, dudes, you know.
Yeah.
You know? Like again, I would rather push that one than Ishin, even though I feel really strongly.
This is why this DLC thing. I knew you guys were all gonna pick Cyberpunk.
It's an expansion. It's not.
Well, if you played it, you would probably pick it too.
It's an expansion.
You don't like new games.
Well, I would pick it for my separate list of DLC. Sure.
It's not DLC; it's an expansion.
DLC
Oh
slash
my gosh.
expansion.
30
Oh, it's
something
slash
hours.
expansion.
Yeah, that's
DLC
more
slash
common
expansion.
ground. Yeah, I
Dan,
believe in common ground.
if
I
it-
don't know what
If
people
it
do.
gives you, if it makes you feel any better, I actually do have both Mario RPG and Resident Evil 4 over Phantom Liberty. That's only
love it.
because I didn't play it a ton, but it's
Sure.
also because I love both. These are like two of my favorite on my like top games ever. They're both on
Yeah.
that like, 25 list somewhere. You know what I mean? So like
yeah, but
they're
you
in
did
there.
play Cyberpunk 2.0,
and I loved it.
Kind of
I loved
steamrolled into what Phantom Liberty
Yeah, this is part of
so,
it. This
You're
has
right.
got to be
yeah,
part of it.
That's
yeah.
right.
So you actually did play, what we're kind of championing
did.
here. Yeah.
Shut up, Kyle. You're very right.
Shut up.
I'm trying to sell hard, guys. All
Yeah,
right.
you're very correct. All right, so
Yeah.
we can move Dead Space off this list. We all just agreed. Is that what we just said? We can.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
Gaston, this game
apparently
sucks.
Gaston, we actually brought you here
Hey,
today to let
hey,
you know
whoa.
that we let you
To
down.
give
on
you a
this
low
one.
blow
Sorry,
to
buddy.
set you up for success,
No.
and then
I think
be
Dan,
like,
it
never
sounds like
mind.
Dan and I would have this one pretty high, right? Like
Yeah, I was
we're
gonna say I'm protecting Dead Space.
Yeah, so Dead Space is definitely up here, somewhere in the top 4,
Gotta
above.
be. That and Resident Evil 4. I didn't
Dan's
play them,
brain
but
on
like,
what he likes more. Did you like the Dead Space more than Resident Evil 4? Or where,
Oh.
like talk to me about
Good
this. I was,
question.
this is the real conversation I want to have specifically with Dan. So.
Not Tim. Kyle, why are you asking me to choose between two babies? Why are you asking me to choose?
Because I know you love both of these games,
Yeah, you
and
do.
the most interesting take is going to come from you, who has played and beaten both of these games. Where I
That's
think you and I
true.
are both the only ones who've played and beaten both of these games. So I'm not trying to exclude everybody else on the panel, but like, I feel like you and I would have the only real thoughts on, what
on comparing those two. That's a good point.
These specifically, these two.
Yeah, yeah.
That's tough. That is tough. I guess if I had to choose which one I liked more, I think it's Dead Space by like a sliver.
Yeah.
Because I think RE4 is like a little more fun to play. Like it feels better, and there's like all the weapons and
it's
like
more like an
upgrading
action.
weapon.
Yeah.
There's just more
Yeah.
going on there, like in the combat.
I like the
not that-
upgrade system more in Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. There's just more going. There's more weapons, and like upgrading everything is super fun. Like kind of
Like
RPG.
I literally use just the mine cutter, like the cut, like from start to finish.
Sure.
That's like in Resident Evil 4, like I use almost every.
I'm
weapon.
switching to
Like, I
every
have a
kind of
pistol,
weapon.
Yeah, I have a pistol. I have a machine gun. I have a.
And then you go down to the shooting range and you can upgrade stuff. It's so fun.
There is like a shotgun type of cutter in Dead Space, which feels good. Just ammo is pretty scarce in that
I
one.
will say cosmic horror is more my vibe than.
I was gonna
you
say,
know.
is the setting what kind of gives it the edge
Yeah,
for both
I
of you
feel like the
guys?
setting is a big for me.
Yeah.
But like because Resident Evil 4 has been played by like Tim has actually played it. Like I feel like that's gonna end up going above Dead Space, and I don't
Sure.
want to speak for Dan. I'm okay with that, just because like you're talking again like. No, I want to talk about this
Splitting hairs.
good game. Yeah. These are two great games. Like one being a little better than the other. Whether way that goes on the scale, like I don't know, it's kind of splitting.
The way I'm reading it is Dan has Super Mario RPG over both of those, just because it's like one of his favorite games of all time, right?
It would probably it probably would be number one.
And Kyle's got Phantom Liberty over both those because that's right behind Like a Dragon Ishin, I think. Phantom Liberty is, yeah. So and then you guys have those essentially tied, if you had to, in that third-ish place spot. Spot.
Mhm.
So I totally read what you're saying. I do think just because of the numbers with the way we're sharing it, the one thing we didn't talk about yet was Super Mario RPG, where that goes in comparison to these. And I know where it goes for Dan.
Mhm.
For myself, I'd have it in second place out of these four, right behind Resident Evil 4, personally. But Jeff, you played a good amount of it. And Kyle,
Not
you
really.
played a good amount of
Not
it.
compared to you guys.
Okay. How much did you played? But you played enough to like give some thoughts on it. You were like, "Hey, why is this so awesome? This is like you did like
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
it." So, but are you guys both looking at this going like, "No, this would go in fourth place or third place for me"?
For me, it would go in fourth place, but like I don't. Again, like that's by no means talking about the quality of the game. I think that game is
I get it.
incredibly special, but just on
I
high
don't-
placing.
My
But he-
ranking is kind of shitty for this game because I don't have nostalgia for it. So it'd be like
Sure.
below. Like I'd even put it below Rally Adventure because like
I
I
get what
just
you're
love
saying.
that expansion
No,
so much. And Super Mario RPG is a really charming game. It's really fun as well. But I don't, I didn't play it as a kid, so I'm kind of like,
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. So if
It's really good though. It's a really good game. Just throwing it
Jeff's
out there.
trying to be nice, guys,
don't
it's
hate it.
good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw it out there also. Forest Maze. All right, Forest Maze.
Just play
Forest
that
Maze.
music, and that's all you need
Forest
in your
Maze.
life.
Just the
Forest-
music. I don't even need to play the game. Okay.
Nah, yeah, just the music. Just
Just the music. We're back to the music
Jesus.
conversation. Let's bring up YouTube.
Again.
Just kidding. Okay, I actually, based on our conversation, I feel like this top 4 might be the order it should go in. Thinking of where people have things ranked, I've got Phantom Liberty in my top 10, and I've barely scratched the surface of it. It's mainly because of my 2.0 experience. You guys are right. That's why I have it in my. It's actually not just top 10. I think it's my 6th. Whatever. It's up there. And I know that Jeff, this is your number 1 for this category. New thing.
Yeah,
in the
it would be my
game.
number 1 game of the year if I wrote the rules like that. But
Kyle, it's number
I don't
2
make
for
my
you.
rules like that.
It's
yeah.
number 2 for me, but yes,
It's number 1 out of this group. for
Yeah,
you.
number 1. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I feel like it's probably fighting between that one and Resident Evil 4 for number 1 is my guess, because Dan didn't play Cyberpunk and Jeff didn't play Resident Evil 4.
So yeah,
And then-
a game that's only played like 3 is okay.
So that's why I
yeah.
think Dead Space is at 4. That's why I think Mario RPG is at 3, because we've got. Well, maybe Mario RPG needs to be higher, but anyway.
Yeah, I think so. I think Mario RPG should be 1 then.
Over Cyberpunk.
Well, look, 3 people played it and love it, and
True.
and you guys
But-
played it more than I did, and of course Dan beat it because that's.
But
his
I've got
thing.
it ranked below 2 of these. I've got Phantom Liberty
Okay.
and Resident Evil 4 above it, just in scope of new things for an old game.
Gotcha.
Like on my all-time favorite games list, I do have. When I look back at games, I've got Resident Evil 4 on that list and a spot above Mario RPG. So that didn't really change. The remakes were
Oh, I
both
see.
amazing, and I
I
loved
see.
them both. But that didn't change the
So
order.
maybe it should be. Wait.
So maybe it's Resident
So
Evil
Tim,
4.
you did love RE4, right? Is it
did.
just Dead Space you missed?
Yeah.
Okay, so it should be RE4 then. Number 1.
RE4, Mario RPG, Phantom Liberty, or switch those 2, and then Dead Space at 4.
Does that make sense? Because I mean, I'm just judging based on like what Kyle and Dan have said about RE4 as well.
See, I just assumed I was under the assumption Cyberpunk would be number 1, but
It's number
Well-
1 for me in everything this year. So it's not really fair, but that's just me. That's
Sure.
me.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to hear me argue that either, but it does feel weird that, again, like a person like a three played game,
Yeah.
gets up to number 1. But again, it sounds like that we're in the same boat if Resident Evil 4 does that too. So
Is that? Are you
True,
guys
true?
Jeff and no, not Jeff. Sorry, Dan and Kyle for Resident Evil 4. I mean, just looking at the games we're considering here, is that one up in your top group? Like, is it up in your top 3, top 4, or
Yeah.
is it just
Yeah.
one? Okay, all right.
absolutely, yeah.
So I'm making sure that I'm reading the room right on that one. So yeah, maybe that one is.
I've only seen gameplay footage of it, and it looks incredible, and it looks way beyond my skills as a gamer. I don't know why.
You'd be good with Resident Evil. You'd be fine.
Think
And there's
so?
also
Yeah,
difficulty.
yeah.
There's
It's
difficulty
a,
levels
It's a
too.
third-person shooter, yeah, and you can bump
Yeah.
that bad boy all the way down.
I think you'd enjoy it. Also, there's some amazing memes that have been made of like John Wick playing like as Resident.
Oh,
as Leon.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that.
that's
Dude,
what I'm
that
thinking
one-
of. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
It's
stuff.
so
You
good.
never have to do
How-
any of that.
The editing that people do with those. Oh my god.
So good.
What? If I were to, because this Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space I've had installed on my PS5 for months and I've never touched them.
Huh.
I know I'm a terrible person. So like, so with Resident Evil 4 though, that's not something I need to like. Let me YouTube what's going on so I understand what's happening. That's not that kind of game,
I
is it?
mean,
The Resident Evil lore is weird.
it's there, but
Yeah, it's there, but it's like
it's,
not-
it's like me and Dan could probably do a whole hour about how like all the stories are connected. Yeah, but like
sure.
I don't think you really need to
you
know.
could watch a
Like, you
a
get it,
video of
there's
like
undead
like
or
someone might
whatever
pop up and you
infected.
might not be. You'll be like,
Yeah.
"Who's that?" And like that's about the worst of it.
oh well, there's
about it.
definitely a
Okay.
person that'll pop up, but she pops
Yeah.
up later and he won't know who she is, and
Or
you know.
someone will say Wesker, and you're like, I don't know who that is. But Raccoon City will be like, I think I've heard that.
I
Like,
saw
in
that
the
There's
movie,
zeitgeist.
that was
raccoons there,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Saw that
Yeah, I've
movie.
seen the movie. Yeah, exactly. So I think like you have what you need to understand
Okay,
the story.
that's
of Resident
fair.
Evil 4, yeah.
There's
Alright, I was just
absolutely
wondering.
videos that would catch you up to that in like 5
If you
minutes.
really
or so.
wanted to,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
This is.
I don't
such a
think you would miss
tough
any.
category,
I
man.
don't think you'd miss anything
Sure.
playing the game, going in blind. It's got a.
I think
it's
most
got a
people started
complete.
on Resident Evil 4, to be honest.
It's got a
Like, I think
complete story. It's not like the deepest, most told narrative ever put together, but it's good, and this is a great version of it. I think. So,
agreed.
I gotta
haven't
finally
played
pull the
that.
trigger then and start playing these freaking games that I actually own and have installed.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
so
have
this
like 5 games like from Christmas that I have to catch up now. Like,
True. And almost every single one you've listed, I'm like, Dan, you're gonna love playing that. So like, you're in a real
Yeah.
pickle here.
All right, guys. So real quick, let's do our rankings of these. Jeff, how do you rank those 4? Resident Evil 4, Phantom Liberty, Mario RPG, Dead Space.
I go Phantom Libs at 1. I forgot what the other one was. Oh, our Super Mario RPG at 2 because I played that one. RE4 just based on the footage that I've seen, and I feel like the action in that would speak to me more.
Okay.
And then Dead Space 4. I just dread playing those type of games. I'm just a little bitch.
Okay.
it's pretty terrifying.
I think
Yeah.
Dead Space. I'd actually believe that Dead Space you'd be able to play easier because there's just less mechanics.
Oh, I
So
see.
if you're looking for a game with least barriers, I'd say
Yeah.
Dead Space would probably be the better to start with.
Still feel
And it's
like
shorter.
I'd be more scared playing that than
Yeah.
You will
RE4,
be
which is
1,000%
more
more scared
action
playing Dead
oriented.
Space. Like that's not
Yeah.
the question. Yeah,
Yeah.
1,000% you'll be more scared.
And I chicken out. Like even with Alan Wake 2, I'm like, this is scary. I don't know if I want to play more. Like there's
That's
some
how I feel
moments.
about Alan. There's moments
like,
like
dude.
I have to like pump myself up to play Alan Wake 2. I'm like, okay, you little bitch, let's get
Dude, somebody just mumbling Alan in
good,
my
I'm
ear.
not alone.
What?
Okay.
What?
It's because,
Yeah.
especially if you have headphones on, they're like, Alan Wake. I'm like, why?
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 Why did you do that?
And just like edited scare on the screen. I'm
Yeah.
like,
There's
oh,
also,
God,
I will say,
my
I know this
heart.
isn't about Alan Wake, but like there are times when you're walking, there's all these shadows standing there, and you don't know which ones are going to attack or not, and it gives me
Yeah.
such anxiety, and I hate it.
Same.
Oh
You'll
my
walk up
gosh.
to one, you're like, hey, these guys don't attack, and then one will suddenly attack you, and you're like, I hate this game so
Yeah.
much.
And sometimes they'll even like push you down on the ground, but then like they don't actually attack you. They just knock you
they
down.
don't actually take away health
I
bar.
hate you guys so much. And they're
I
not
hate
even
'em.
scary. They're just like, they look like lumberjacks that are covered in shadows, but they're
I'm
still.
just flashlighting all of them.
Yeah.
All of them. Flashlight all
Yeah.
of them.
It's precious
Um,
resource.
Dan, if
No,
you
no,
remember,
not like
had-
not like the
Not the attack.
hot-
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, they do dissipate if you hold your just regular
Yeah,
light.
These
You
are-
on.
just kind of have to stand there, which is kind of annoying, but like
That can make for a slow playthrough. I just started the truck through after a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Dan, how do you rank those 4 that we had up here? Mario RPG, Dead Space.
So Mario RPG would be 1, Dead Space 2, Resident Evil 3, and then what was it, Jeff?
Phantom Libs.
Phantom Libs. Yes, there you go.
Phantom
Yes,
Libtards, yeah.
yes.
What about you, Kyle? How would you rank these?
Phantom Libs. Dead Space.
So
Resident
dumb, I
Evil
love
4. Super Mario RPG.
You're
I'll hate
crushing,
Super Mario confirmed.
crushing my
He
heart,
hates it.
Kyle.
He
No,
hates it.
well, you're crushing my heart. You didn't play my favorite game of all time, Cyberpunk. So get out.
I don't want to
get
deal
out-
with libs.
get
I don't
out of
want
my
to deal
head.
with libs.
Get out of it.
Is that
Get out
for
of my
real
face.
your favorite game? Like if you were to make like an all-time list, is that
It's
up
like
there?
number 2 now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's
Dang.
so an
Yeah.
MGS game, I assume.
Like
would be
Metal Gear
fun.
Solid, Cyberpunk, Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mass Effect, hell yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, let's reshare this.
Mine's
screen.
all action character action bull crap. Like it's just,
Most of my 10 is like at one point it was like Uncharted and God of War.
Yeah.
There was I had a similar list at some point.
That puts Phantom Liberty at number 1, and based on Open Critic,
Hey.
that puts Resident Evil 4 at number 2, and Mario RPG, which was in a tie, at number 3.
Gaston, I tried to get this up higher for you, buddy, and they just wouldn't move, man. So this is
Hey,
all
Dead
Dan's.
Space-
It's all
it's our
Dan's fault.
fault.
Who's the only other person who loved this game too.
Listen, Dead Space at number 4 is pretty great.
It
Pretty
is. No, I think that's
is.
amazing. And I'm just glad that Dan also played it, so we could give it its proper,
I can't wait for.
attention.
I hope it sold well. I hope we get 2.
All right,
Me
guys,
too.
there's our
Yeah.
there's our top 10 best things in old games this year. That includes remakes, remasters,
You did
DLC.
it, Jeff.
At number 10, we've got Metal Gear Solid Master Collection
I
Volume
want
1.
to shake your hand.
At number 9, it's Star Ocean: The Second Story R. Number 8 is Metroid Prime Remastered. Number 7 is Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores. Number 6 is Like a Dragon Ishin. Number 5 is God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. Number 4 is Dead Space. Number 3, Super Mario RPG. Number 2, Resident Evil 4. And number 1, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty. Good year for this kind of stuff, man. Good year
Great.
for
It had
It was
its
the
own
allies
list.
thing
It
and
was so
created
good.
edit
Yeah.
point with the
Yeah.
applause.
That was good. That was good.
Good for you.
Oh, good for you.
So why did
Okay.
they call it Super RPG? Sorry, that's
What?
Okay.
No, I'm here
It's
for
a
that.
joke.
That was a missed opportunity, is what that was.
Oh.
Joke. It's kind of like Transformers without the 4 in the title. Makes no sense.
I agree.
Anyway,
We're not gonna rank the best performances this year. We're just gonna share what we think were some of the best actor performances, voice acting, motion capture. There's a combination of all those kind of things with performances. And maybe we'll regret this. Maybe we'll look back and like that would have been a fun one to debate this year. Sorry, I just had to make a decision at some point to make these not 18 hours long. So
right.
and maybe the best,
failed, but
maybe
yes,
the
I
best.
agree.
I know we're already at 2 hours and we still have the category to go through. So sorry, I like
Yeah.
talking and I like talking to you guys. So shut up.
Talk
again.
about games.
Yeah, and it's the one
This
time
was
a year.
I consider
for a
this like
solid
the
month.
second biggest one, like list to, you know what I mean, to
Yeah.
order, just because
I-
there were so many good remakes this year. So.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
All right, so as far as best performances go, you know what? I'm gonna let you guys go first, and then I'll call out any that weren't picked. So, if anyone has one they want to, Dan, why don't you start? We'll go alphabetical. What were some of your favorite like actor performances in gaming this year? If you don't have a list, that's totally fine. But what comes to mind for you?
Not only because of his social media presence, because he just seems like a really funny, charming, like down to earth guy. Ben Starr,
Yeah.
who Clive Frostfield from Final Fantasy 16.
And he's doing
That's-
cross game collab with other actors outside of Final Fantasy, which is cool.
That
Like,
is legitimately my favorite performance of the year. You just mentioned, yes.
Yeah,
he
and like I remember when we were talking about 16 right when it came out, I had mentioned he said that his father had passed away during the whole process of doing the VO for the game, or maybe it was right before. I don't actually remember specifically, but it was basically around that time. So I mean that obviously must have fueled something there too, because I mean Final Fantasy 16, guys, I don't know if you know this, pretty sad game.
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
Yeah,
It's,
Tragedy.
He shows some great emotion in that third
he
act.
does.
too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's just unbelievable. And I mean, honestly, that whole game, and like I said before, even just NPCs all sound amazing. Like I don't remember hearing an NPC and be like, what is that? Like, what is that doing here? Like
In Horizon's first game where they had that guy,
yeah, sure.
that side quest guy.
Yeah. So 16 just as a whole is pretty breathtaking. So
Agreed.
yeah.
Any other ones jump out at you?
I mean, God of War, pretty much all of that as well, right?
Did you play Valhalla?
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking
It was
God of
last
War.
year.
That was last year. Never mind.
Okay.
But I'm sure in Valhalla it's pretty good.
It has some good ones, guys.
You know what? I bet it's still pretty good. Yeah.
Still
Yeah,
pretty great.
I bet it's still pretty
Still
good.
the same.
know,
No,
it's-
they recast all the roles, and now it's all like
Yeah.
Okay.
dollar store Christopher Judge.
Sure.
Yeah.
Guys, they have
Sure.
a female playing Kratos. You're not gonna like it.
Oh boy.
Oh, man.
Boy.
Oh, man.
I'm sure there's other ones that's just not coming to mind because
Right.
16.
If we
is
mention
so-
some that you like, feel free to
Yeah.
chime in on them. Jeff, what are some that jump out to you?
I will. Well, Idris Elba, of course, and Phantom Liberty. As
Yes.
Solomon Reed, what a presence, man! And he did not. That could have been an easy paycheck for anybody, Keanu included. And they just, I don't know. He just showed up, man. He showed up for the material, and it really worked. Super immersive too, staring at that handsome face whenever he talks at you. It's great. I loved. I feel like the year kind of belongs to, like, MVP is like Ralph Ineson. I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
He played Sid in Final
Yep.
Fantasy and
Yep.
Lorath in Diablo 4.
Yeah,
Both
and he was
very
great.
captivating
Yeah.
performances. Yeah.
Super good. Key, like
Such
MVP,
a good deep
key
voice.
player.
I can't
Yeah.
do that if I
Yeah.
wanted to. Like I just can't.
I was ready
Oh.
to follow Sid into the bowels of hell just for
Oh,
his
yeah.
voice alone.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just like,
Absolutely.
yeah. Whatever
I
you're fighting
also,
for, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, this guy must be a good guy because I like that voice. So I also have to get, speaking of multiple voice artists, I guess, Nashir Dalal, who did Bode in Jedi Survivor. And he showed up
He was
for a little
awesome.
bit there as Quentin Beck, Mysterio in Spider-Man 2,
Yeah.
which was cool. It was very unlike him, very unlike his voice, like much more higher pitched and stuff like that. But when he did talk low and get serious, I was like, oh, that's Bode. There you go. Also, most famously, what was he? The Red Dead 2 guy, Charles, or something like that. That's his most famous character, I guess.
He was also in Mortal Kombat 1 this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was in a ton of
That's
games this year, but like as
He was
various
also
people.
in
Yeah.
Starfield. I recognized him a couple times in Starfield.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
He's in everything. He was in Remnant
Yeah.
2. He was the
Yeah.
main player voice in Remnant 2.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
I didn't recognize that at
Yeah.
all. That's okay. That's
Neither.
fun.
Yeah, he can really. He many voices apparently.
Yeah.
And of course, one of our
Good
favorite
range.
characters from Horizon Forbidden West from last year. So like he's great.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Man, I wish that crew had any
Tallow,
time
guy,
in,
right?
in the.
Hello.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish
Yeah.
that crew had any time in the DLC or whatever you want to call it, expansion C.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
I
say
feel
what
like
voice,
you're
but
setting
he
up a
was-
whole Avengers team, and then you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
screw those guys.
It
Yeah,
doesn't say what
you're on
voice,
a
but
separate
he was
island. Don't worry about it.
credited for Phantom Liberty as well. I just don't know what.
I assume various NPCs and stuff like
Very
that.
busy guy, apparently. Very busy.
Yeah, good for him though.
Yep.
And
And Dead
Shout out
Space.
to
Holy crap,
some-
he did a Dead Space voice too. Like
the main
doesn't
guy?
say what. It just says
Oh.
additional cast
No.
on Dead Space.
Oh.
So sorry,
Yeah.
I was looking up his IMDb and he's
Wow.
been in every.
Yeah, he's been in everything this year. It's
He
wild.
was in every game all year. Yeah.
So some ones that were like just for me, I guess. I liked Simon Pegg as Professor Black in Hogwarts Legacy.
I did too.
He wasn't the only performance I liked, but he had to bring a certain personality to it, and being a member of the Black family, who is very much like they're very much like a pro wizard and like calling people that are half whatever, half wizard, half human, like mudbloods, stuff like that.
Muggles.
They're all about the pure bloods and stuff like that. And he certainly he was trying to be personable while also being a discriminatory piece of crap, like at the same time, and it showed. And yeah, he was just a zany, fun guy. I enjoyed what he brought to it. His announcements were hilarious too.
And even though Simon Pegg voiced did VO.
Yeah, he
That's
did.
awesome.
Well, for that he did. And then for me personally, it's Oxenfree 2. The whoever the woman is that voiced Riley. That's the main character in that game. And they did bring back some of the original voice cast from the first game later on. That connection comes much later though. And then the Slay the Princess had like 2 voice actors doing like you had one doing the princess and then one doing the narrator, and all of the narrators or the heroes' internal voices and stuff like that. And they just did such a freaking bang up job. They did incredible work. And last bits shout out are some Octopath Traveler 2 characters like Hikari, Particio, and Oswald. I love them a lot.
Yeah.
I thought they really
Octopath 2 definitely up there for me for sure. Yeah.
Same.
Nice, good call outs. Kyle, what about you? What whether you want to re-mention some already said or others that
I want to say yes to a lot of that's already been said, but I also, to add on, Alan Wake's voice actor, Matthew Peretta, very
So
good.
Yeah.
Carries that whole game. Goodness, also staying in the Alan Wake realm, the late James McCaffrey, who does Alex Casey. Every time he shows up, I'm just like, I always kind of lean forward. I'm like, that's Max Payne, because that's who he's supposed to be. Alex Casey's basically Max Payne, So those 2 really stood out to me. Jeff brought up Cyberpunk. I'd be remiss to not bring up Song Mi by Minji Chang. She did really great. I just wanted to believe her. Song Mi, Songbird,
I got you. She was so great, and like
I just wanted to trust her. Like whatever she was selling, I'm like, whatever I got to do for you. Like let's just do it, And I think that's part of it. I think you're supposed to be completely captivated by her, which kind of makes later game stuff like interesting in terms of your
that
choices.
And her story is like so parallel to yours that you're like, I have to believe her, because she knows nobody else knows what I've been dealing with.
Like you're on the same journey, and like there's a door open, and it's just I don't know. She does really good. I think
she really did bring
exactly what she's supposed to do. I guess those are the big ones. Baldur's Gate 3 had a lot that were really good. I would say they're all competent, but in terms of like which one was my favorite, they're all just really good. I don't really know. And even there's some people in Starfield, like if I have to listen to talking heads chatting at me the entire game, I'm glad there were so many competent people showing up to like do those talking heads. So you brought up Jeff Bode from Star Wars. That was one for me as well. But I also just want to bring up the lead Cal, who does Cal.
Cameron Moynihan.
I think he's really good. A lot was asked out of him when he goes through some late game stuff.
Big time.
So
for a good chunk of that game, like for 2/3 of the game, you might think, like, he's delivering a solid performance, kind of like he did in the first game. And then not much was asked of him before that, so he did what he was supposed to do. And then the last act of the game, it was like, dang, he did a really good job.
Yeah,
he did a really good job.
Both he and Bode were like cornered in desperate situations, and the actors really brought it, dude.
Well, it's another one like much like Songbird, where I'm just like, I like this guy. I really like this guy.
Yeah,
like
totally.
we're buddies. And I think that's again what you're supposed to feel for that character. So.
Agreed.
I forgot to mention. I'm sorry to hijack. But you mentioned somebody and it got me thinking. I already removed the list. Is it even worth it at this point?
You can
no,
throw
there
it
it
out
is.
So I'll throw a few out.
Spider-Man 2, I forgot to mention entirely. But like Yuri Lowenthal actually like really, really brought it with the.
He
Venom
had
stuff.
to.
Yeah.
He was so good and so convincing, and like when he was bitching aloud about people needing his help, I was kind of like, like why can't they just be better?
Spider-Man,
yeah,
Team Spider-Man.
Why can't they just be better at not getting caught? Why are they always getting caught? Like, I mean, stuff
Right.
like that. And he didn't have to do a whole lot until the third act, but Tony Todd as Venom was, man, he really did bring it. Great casting choice.
Great cast. All right, I'll just highlight a few that weren't said. I agree with everything that was said already. I have a huge list, but I want to throw out there the voice actors from Hi-Fi Rush had so much fun in those silly roles. They weren't meant to be serious, so I'm not saying they delivered like dramatically moving.
They delivered it just like a Saturday morning cartoon, which is
so fun, especially Chai.
That way,
Robbie Damon as Chai. He played this great kind of dumb but not really lead that was lovable, and I don't know. He did a great job in that lead, but everyone else in that show in that game did a great job. You already mentioned Hogwarts Legacy. I think they actually have a lot of really good voice actors. The one that stood out to me, you already mentioned Simon Pegg. I also liked Nicholas Guy Smith as Professor Fig. He's a very important.
Oh yeah, he's like your best buddy. He kind of sounds like he sounds like another actor from the Harry Potter movies. He sounds like Remus Lupin. He sounds like that actor.
A lot like Lupin. Yes.
Yeah. So there's something interesting about his voice that I'm like, I should follow this guy around. Yeah.
There's a couple of goblins that play key roles in the story too, both on the good and bad side, and those guys did a great job with those roles as well. Baldur's Gate has a ton. You're right. I liked Shadowheart, but that's probably because I talked to her the most. And I thought,
I see why. I know why.
Well, just because she's smart. And then Asterion,
sure.
Asterion, of course, Neil Newbon, who won awards for that role. He's amazing. Like Asterion is. I don't skip his dialogue because I think he's so entertaining. He's giving everything he's got with every.
He's such a heel. Like he's always wants to do bad, and I'm like, we should just let this guy off the leash.
Listen, he beat Ben Starr, so he's dead to me. All right, he beat Ben.
That's fair. Hey, listen, I know
when you meet him in the game, I'm sure you're far along in Baldur's Gate 3, right, Dan? Like you're.
Oh yeah, I'm like 110 hours. Like I'm like, when is this Act 3 going to end? I mean, I'm enjoying it, but I'm like, for the love of God.
Me too. Dude, I'm in the I'm assuming with the halfway point of the tail end of Act 3, and I'm just like, I'm 93 hours in. I'm just like, are we ever gonna wrap this up? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just like,
D&D, baby.
No, not
it's
at
like
all.
it's like this DM just had every idea they ever could think of and just put it down.
I'm still
as, like,
finding quests. I'm
max level. I can't grind anymore. Like there's nothing left to
Wait,
grind.
what's max level? What's max
12
level?
or 13? Yeah.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. I'm like there or about to be. Wow. Okay.
There are some really good performances, believe it or not, in Tears of the Kingdom. Matthew Mercer as Ganondorf is excellent.
Hot Ganon, he's so good, dude.
Yeah, Stud Ganon.
Daddy Ganon. Right?
Yeah, Daddy Ganon. Yeah, dude.
Ganon Dad.
He is really good. I completely forgot to mention
he does a great job. And then Patricia Somerset as Zelda, if you watch all the cutscenes, which you don't have to, but you can find these all through these dragon tiers throughout the world and really get a lot of cutscenes with a lot of voice acting. And she does great. A whole bunch of those actors in that did a really good job. Resident Evil 4 actors I thought were pretty fun. Like nothing, again, mind-blowing, but worked.
They showed up, though. They showed up. That material, Resident Evil has really goofy material. So, and there's some really goofy one-liners that Leon has to stumble over.
Yeah. Especially while you're like, when you like kill an enemy in a certain way. And when you say, I'm like, I'm glad he said that. Like,
yeah. But like this remake was more grounded dialogue-wise than the original one.
It was, but the fact that they still snuck a few in, I was actually surprised.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
No,
so
I agree with that.
Man, they got that one in. All right.
Also throw in the guy who played Kraven from Spider-Man 2.
He was good.
Did a good job.
Yeah, he was incredible. Yeah.
For Alan Wake, Melanie Liburd as Saga was
Libturd. Yeah.
Phenomenal. I know that her name is easy to make the joke.
Yeah.
But especially at the end, when you guys finish that game, you're like, dude, she had to give it too, because there's some very personal threads of that story that she has to react to, and there's phone calls that she has to make because it seems like this weird fantastical case that she's investigating is starting to hit her personally, and it does in a lot of ways. So she's fantastic, man. She's excellent. And then
I didn't get far enough to
see some of that.
Yes, to hear her talk about her personal life and stuff.
Some of that gets really intense, especially at the very end there too.
The
and then
setup for her stuff where people in town are like, "Hey, really sorry to hear about your dead daughter," which is at the beginning of the game, and she's like, "My daughter's alive," I'm like, this is gonna go somewhere, know. Like,
what's her face at the diner?
So I'm
and that does go places.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, so like that setup, it was immediately hooking to me. I know she can slip in and out of her accent every once in a while because it's supposed to be like a but like I don't think that takes away from like maybe the emotional stuff that's asked out of her. So
yep. There's several characters that you can kind of hear that. I don't even know what it is. Are they from Sweden? Whatever that accent is, like you can kind of hear it pop in. But for the most part, they do a much better American accent than any of us could ever do of their accent. So I can't criticize them.
Big time, absolutely.
Most
I'd just be like, you have to make money. Like I'd just be like Aaron Taylor Johnson as Quicksilver. Like I
feel like Midwestern accents. I feel like everyone who always tries to do one, they're always bad anyways. They're always kind of so it's like I feel like when you're doing that accent anyways, I'm already ready for like
Exhibit A, Charlie Hunnam in anything.
The Twin Peaks people are constantly slipping out of that accent. They can't keep their shit together.
I agree. I actually didn't realize till I was looking at all these that both of the main leads from the Plague Tale games were in Final Fantasy 16.
They were,
which was really cool. They both did a good job.
I caught that with Joshua.
The
like
sister
right away when he was younger.
I was like, I think she's young. I think she's young Jill, if I remember right.
Oh, that's cool. They probably asked for them specifically. Like they were like, you guys are great in Plague Tale. Yeah.
Well, that's that like English kind of old medieval.
Yeah, definitely.
Thing.
Deborah Wilson, by the way, 2 roles, and one in Diablo 4. I haven't met her character, but apparently she's in Diablo 4 as Prava, and then she is in Jedi Survivor, of course, as
I don't remember her in Diablo 4 like at all. Whoops. But yes, Jedi Survivor for sure.
Yep. Oh, and I wanted to shout out Mid from Final Fantasy 16. I thought she was great.
She's so mid. Yeah.
She's mid, I guess.
Mid is mid. Mid is mid.
All right, last but not least, there was a character in Jedi Survivor. You guys already mentioned all the great ones that I have ranked really high if I had to rank these, which I didn't. But I really liked the performance of the guy who plays Dagon. His name's Cody Fern. He's kind of when he kind of wakes up and things have changed, but then he quickly like takes control. I don't know. I thought
the whole sequence was outstanding.
Dude, I agree. One of the coolest Star Wars and anything sequences that's been made. It's very, very good. All right, I know that was a lot of time spent on that, but hey, it is what it is. We will circle back to favorite backlog games if we have time, if we have energy, but we got to get into our best visuals ranking to make sure this episode stays within a reasonable 3-ish hours length. We've been about 3:20 these days. We'll see how we go. We'll see how it does. All right, we're going to talk about best visuals. This one's a little weird, I realize, because, like, what does that actually mean? Are we saying best graphics? Yeah. Are we saying best style and art design? Uh-huh. Are we saying, like,
next question, yes.
best costumes or, like yep. Okay, what else you got? Like, it's all those things. So, like, we can make a case for best visuals really across the spectrum. You guys can make a case for whatever game you want. And in the past, we've done, like, realistic versus kind of animated or... We've had all different ways of doing this, but we just kind of lumped them in. I think last year we did this too.
We did, yeah. That was a fun challenge.
It was something.
It was, yeah. I found a way. I mean, I did make my own 10, and I did find a way to complement, like the pixelated art styles while also being like, okay, let's go with the realistic one or whatever. Like, I mean, I found it was not even intentional to do it that way. It just these are my favorite visuals.
How it happened.
Yeah, exactly. So
Jeff found a way.
Found a
way.
Yes. Oh.
Well, there it is.
All right, so let's start scrolling through these, and if you guys can see that blue cursor, I hope.
Yes.
As we get to them, you guys just tell me to move that one over. So I'm going to start. We're going to move Alan Wake 2 over.
Dude, Armored Core 6, beautiful game.
6, okay.
Beautiful game.
Assassin's Creed Mirage at least needs to be noted for.
Okay.
It does look good. Shut up. It does.
Just kidding. I'm kidding.
That's the name of this episode this week. Is Tim says shut up to everybody a lot.
All right, you know what? It is good. Shut up.
Atomic Heart. Avatar's got it. Sorry.
Avatar, yeah,
Avatar.
Avatar.
That's in my honorable
Baldur's Gate
mentions.
3.
Avatar. Yeah.
For visuals. Yeah. Hey, Bang on Balls Chronicles, everybody. Go check out our YouTube channel with that gameplay from this past
There
week.
you go. Some
Super
good looking
fire.
balls. Some good looking
Avatar.
balls.
It is actually a surprisingly good looking game. Not best of the year though. Same with Bayonetta Origins. Cool design, very cool art design, but
Right.
I wouldn't call it best of the year. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving down here.
I have Bramble in like not my 10, but like in my honorable mention. So at least for
Same.
consideration, I would move it over because the big epic moments are really cool to look at. You know,
I know we already did DLC, but let's put Call
No,
of Duty.
no. Don't bring that over and let me explain why. Because we usually bring this one over.
We do.
okay?
for visuals, yeah.
This
yeah.
actually looks worse than last year's.
Good.
Wow.
We're leaving it off.
It actually does. Yeah.
That's
Because
Come on,
they-
guys.
it actually looks worse than last year. So
Jesus.
So I'm talking about the level, like, because the level designs aren't like there's a lot of really open areas, and because of
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it just looks like garbage. You know, I don't know.
Also, you didn't have to explain. You didn't have to explain
celebrating
it.
Call of Duty, everybody. Quit it.
You
Cut
didn't
it
have to
out.
explain it at
Stop
all, Kyle. You
buying
could have
it.
just said, "Don't bring it over." We all would have been like, "Okay."
No, I wanted to have a
believe
long-winded explanation for it. so.
Kyle, go longer, please. Go longer, please.
Hey, Chance of
Stop
Sonar does
buying
have
DLC,
cool
guys.
style, but I don't know if
Yeah.
it's best of the year. But it does have really cool art style. Chance of Sonar.
I really like that art style. Yeah, it's
let's
not,
at least
again, it's not my
honorable
10, yeah.
mention it. Maybe we'll
Right.
see. Okay, Cocoon.
I feel
Cocoon?
similar about Cocoon. Yeah,
me too.
really cool art style, and especially the part what do you call the convergence? Yes, what do you call the? I guess it's a transition thing when you're going between worlds.
That kind of
The way that they animate that,
yeah,
the zoom in, the zoom out,
yeah,
It's
Amazing.
unbelievable. It's so freaking gorgeous, man.
agreed. Crash Team Rumble. Anybody? Best visuals?
Gaston,
I think you're great. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah,
These are two games that didn't necessarily review amazingly well, but the visuals on both look cool. Crime O'Clock and Curse
Yeah.
of the Sea Rats do have cool visuals.
Dave the Diver's a must. I think the game is
Yes.
so beautiful.
I
So
love
pretty.
the way this. I love the way this game looks.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I will say, eyeballs popping out in Dead Island 2 have never looked better. I will say that.
All right. You sold me.
I'll say it.
I'm moving it over right here.
Yeah, that's all I
Diablo
need.
4 has one of the best video game cutscenes in the history of the industry.
yeah, it's gorgeous. That's
And I think in game looks really pretty too.
It does look good in the game too. Yeah.
I think it looks good. Disney Illusion Island looks really
yes. Disney
Yeah.
Illusion Island. Let's do it. Yes.
good. Okay.
So cool to look at.
I'm gonna skip past Dredge unless someone feels like it looks gorgeous. I
I
like
think it
but
looks good, but I
it's-
don't think it's top 10 material.
I don't even think it's top 20. I like it though. I like that game a lot, but the visuals were good. They worked. Okay.
They functioned. Yes.
Exo Primal? Huh? No.
Yeah.
Keep going.
It's got dinosaurs.
Fire
got
Emblem
dino
Engage
data.
is really sharp looking.
Yeah.
And Final
Let's
Fantasy
just
16.
skip
of
right
course.
past Final Fantasy.
The
I don't
audacity.
think Final Fantasy 16 is.
It's
That
okay.
felt like a
Audacity.
shot at Dan, and I liked it a lot. Okay, what about
Audacity.
Forspoken?
Yeah,
Forspoken.
it is a
We
game.
should just not spoken about it. How about that?
Yeah. I forgot to spoke about it.
All right, we're gonna keep moving. Fort Solace.
I mean,
Forza
Forza
Motorsport.
Motorsport. That's the realest cars I've ever looked.
Yep.
Besides Gran Turismo 7, I guess. But like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in
Or
my
the
10. It's
latest
in my
Gran
10 for the
Turismo,
year.
whatever the
yeah.
new Gran Turismo. is.
Goodbye, Volcano High. I mean, right?
Oh
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
God.
Bring it over.
I'm gonna keep on moving. I have Hi-Fi
Anthropomorphic
Rush.
animals have never looked. Yeah,
I
Hi-Fi
have-
Rush is absolutely.
Let me tell you, I got Hi-Fi Rush, really Hi-Fi.
I do too,
I
buddy.
think Hogwarts
Rush.
Legacy deserves to come over.
Yes.
Me too.
Yes.
By the way, if all that game was wandering around the actual Hogwarts castle, it'd still be on this list.
No, they had
Yes.
the audacity to
Just-
add so much outside.
So
Yeah.
detailed. So detailed.
Cool. Oh my gosh.
Okay, keep moving here. What else is jumping out of you? Immortals, is that good enough looking or no? I thought it looked good what I played of it, but no.
I don't know.
Nah.
I have
All right.
everything.
I will say it's an
It was
Unreal
fine.
Engine 5, and it has all the bells and whistles that new
Looks
games are
really
going to have
pretty.
going forward in terms of particle effects and yada yada.
Yeah.
So,
The-
hats off,
the-
you know.
I don't
A
know.
lot
It
of-
didn't blow the visual stuff didn't really blow me away in terms of like comparing it to other because it was trying to be a AAA looking game and it
Uh-huh.
was when I stacked it up against the competition, it didn't look that great.
No, I agree, and I think
Yeah, no,
there
it
were-
was more the stuff in the background, like I said, like the particle effects and some of the other,
Gotcha.
like the skyboxes, and like they're using things that are just haven't been used quite yet in video games that are going to become the standard as Unreal Engine
they
5
are.
takes over.
the
Yeah.
faces had moments of me being like, "Whoa, this looks amazing," and then like, "Oh, that's not quite right." So like it
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
mixture of both.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm ever going to have faces 100%.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for real.
What
There
about
are some
Jusan's
that have done
visuals?
it.
Jusan, yeah.
Jusan's visuals are really nice. Okay.
Joso.
Like Lies of P, it's at least gonna
yeah,
get
no.
mentioned.
The art design
Man,
in that game is
good.
magnificent.
Like a Dragon Gaiden's definitely
Sure, bring it
over
over
here.
now. I don't know if it's gonna make that, but
Let's see. By the way, I will say the
Spider-Man?
style of Lords of the Fallen, where you switch between the two environments.
I don't think we have to.
Yeah,
No,
that
I'm
does,
kidding,
this
I'm
game
kidding,
doesn't
I'm
exist.
kidding.
Don't even
I'm
finish
so-
the sentence.
I'm so
Garrett's not here.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. Yeah.
I said shut up 3 times. I deserved that one. I'm not actually trying to move it over. So let's
Listen
keep
here,
going.
Dad.
I liked that a lot, actually. Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man for sure.
Spiderman.
Might
Spiderman
be
2.
one of the best open world games of all time.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
and the fast travel has to be considered in the visuals stuff.
Uh,
Like, I mean,
Did you just like when you just glide in that game?
Oh, yeah.
And like there's like
Oh.
minimal pop in, like that
Yeah.
blows me away. Like that.
even if you just like stay perched on the building and look around in the distance and see the detail on buildings far away, I was like,
Yeah.
this is.
I
the
was okay with
perfect
like
thing.
the people walking on the streets being like lower quality if it meant everything else looked so good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
it did.
Uh,
yeah.
Minecraft Legends, guys, seriously for real, looks really pretty, and it's probably just going to be honorable mention, but it's a good looking game. All right. Mortal
Kombat
Kombat?
one for sure.
Mortal Kombat has ever looked.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the best a fighting game has ever looked, I think.
I mean, yeah.
Octopath
Yeah.
2?
Yes.
Yeah,
All day,
I
yes.
think so.
Yes.
Just looking at ones that I know that some of us like at least. Pikmin 4 was that?
Yeah, I mean, I like Oxenfree. No, not Pikmin 4.
Okay, I thought you said yes. Sorry, Oxenfree 2.
Oxenfree 2 is one that's
Really pretty.
Yeah, Pikmin
Red
4
Ball.
is like it looks like a Nintendo. I don't really know what to tell you. It's like it looks like a Nintendo game in the way that people lament like, oh, I wish they did more.
I haven't played it, so I can't.
So I don't. I mean,
trust
it's cute, but I mean, it's not really doing much like
I'm
the other
moving
Nintendo games.
Ravenlock over though, because Ravenlock is really pretty.
Remnant 2 may
Oh,
not
yeah.
make it, but I think the design of that game is next level.
That's a
The
good reason to have
various
it
like
mentioned.
what do
yeah.
you call those worlds that you go in? I guess in the game, I don't know what they're called.
Like the
but,
biomes or whatever. I
The
don't know.
yeah, but they
instances?
got very distinct designs and stuff. Like there's like a
Yeah,
Bloodborne
very
level or
distinctive
whatever. Like, it's
design,
very
and the
cool.
bosses are like
Yeah.
I'm
Sea of
telling
Stars.
you on par with like Souls level like boss design.
Sea of
I'm
Stars,
bringing
definitely.
Sea
Yeah.
of Stars over.
Stars,
Shadow Gambit. I'm just gonna mention. I'm not gonna bring it over because there's too many to delete already. Shadow Gambit has a really cool style to it, but none of us played it more than the demo. I think I'm the only one who even played the demo. So, but it is.
Right.
Rise of Kong uses clip art, guys. I mean, we should.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
should,
can
you
we just?
know,
you know
just
how we
saying.
like to make a diverse list. This could be best clip art using game.
Best clip art?
That should just be number one already on the finalized list, right?
Yeah. Why
Like,
are we even
which is-
doing this? Yeah.
I don't understand why we're doing this either.
I gotta commend Scars Above for looking as good as it did. I really didn't expect it to.
Yeah, for a
It's that
double
good?
A
Yeah.
Yeah.
indie type game. yeah.
Actually, I would say the same to a lesser degree though. RoboCop Rogue City, for being
Okay.
like
Yeah.
a franchise
Yeah, yeah.
game by a double A studio.
Looks pretty.
It should
good.
not look that good
Sharp
when you
looking
throw
game.
somebody out of a window. Like it just
Yeah.
shouldn't. So
Agreed. I'm gonna bring Jedi Survivor over
bring
Starfield. I'm
right
bringing
over.
over.
Sorry, everybody who hates Starfield. Sorry.
looks
but
good.
how much did it make?
I just learned today that more people concurrently played Starfield than Baldur's Gate 3.
I saw that too.
Inside Games just did a whole video about it. So
I saw that.
What?
I saw that.
But
talked
that's
about.
not.
well,
the number one game
is
is-
Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah,
It doesn't
I mean,
mean
it's still
it sold well.
Yeah.
You
Starfield,
can't even breathe.
Creamed it
Yeah.
in player count. So.
I don't want it to do well. Okay, let's keep going here. Strayed Lights looks really good. At least honorable mention. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Street Fighter 6 as well. Did you guys
Very
not like?
sharp
the
looking
style?
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring that Mario Brothers over.
Mario
Oh my
Brothers.
god, definitely bring that Mario.
Talos
Wonder.
Principle, Jeff?
Talos
I
Principle.
thought
Uh,
it was sharp looking from the
Let me
screens
see
I
where I
saw.
got it. Yeah. It's not in my 10, but it's definitely like I really like the way it looks. I guarantee it. So yeah, that should be.
I heard what you did there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like the way you're gonna like the way you look.
You're gonna like the way it looks. I guarantee it, Frankie.
So I'm gonna
like it. Sorry.
same with Talos Principle 2 and
You
some of
went
these
too
other
monster
ones.
there. You went too monster.
Teardown is one that I'll just say looks really good. Go check it out if you have PS Plus. It's a surprisingly good-looking game in that kind of
Yeah.
voxel world. It's really interesting. But not something
Zelds.
to talk
Gotta
about.
go with Zelds.
Zelda.
Jump way down.
Do you call her Zelds, huh? You're that close to
Zelds.
Zelda?
Gotta go with Zelds Taka.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom for sure. All right, Gollum looks amazing.
Gollum.
Gollum and Kong.
Mage Seeker.
Not over Convergence, but like.
But hey, go check it out
does
because
look good.
the animations are really cool with that style. Yeah, the character models actually remind me of a really, really high quality. Like if you ever played the old Prince of Persia side-scrolling games back in the day,
Yeah.
it's like a really high quality animated version of those characters. It's really, really cool.
Right.
Okay, moving on down.
I think
Interrupt me.
Thirsty Suitors has a really cool use of colors, especially in their fights.
Okay.
So really cool style going on there.
Worth bringing over for the consideration. Okay.
Yeah.
Theater Rhythm's pretty cute, but that doesn't need to go.
Theater Rhythm?
It's not. I just moved
cute,
past. I was
though.
just like,
Hey, if this was the
like
cutest game, that would be on there somewhere.
oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Sure.
Yeah. What games are just like cute? Super
What
cute.
game is cute? I saw something cute.
That's so cute.
Trinity
Trine
Fusion looks-
5 is one that
Oh yeah, that looks gorgeous.
looks so good for like it's going for that kind of Saturday morning cartoon type of thing in a different way than Hi-Fi Rush.
I think Trinity Fusion looks really good personally, but I don't know if that's everyone's style. If you guys liked that one.
I liked the game. I can't even remember how it looks now.
It's ugly cute. It's ugly cute.
Ugly is incredible.
Ugly looks really good.
Yes. No
Especially
joke.
with-
That game is so
Especially
pretty.
like the visuals of your reflection in the gameplay are also really cool. So like
Mm.
both pieces of that are really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and it just I think it's like a hand drawn, like really crispy, like there's some grain to it and stuff. Looks really cinematic.
I'll put Viewfinder over just because of the way they
absolutely.
use visuals in that game. Vernal
This is
Edge,
a-
by the way, fun little throwback category.
This might be a surprise. Viewfinder is in my 10 just because of what it was required to do with the visuals.
The visuals are part of the gameplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What do you think about Bolt Gun? Is that more just hey, that's fun? Do you guys actually think
It's
boy, those visuals
It's
are
pretty
awesome?
sharp looking, I'd say.
yeah, it's
But,
pretty sharp, but I don't. It's more like
I'm
a
not gonna-
throwback kind of.
Yeah. Hey, go
Yeah.
check it out if you like old Doom and Wolfenstein games. It's
Yeah.
a really good version of those things.
Big time.
Wild Hearts is pretty good looking. Kind of. You could also tell me if that was a PS4 game, I would believe you. Like it wasn't amazing looking.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
kinda
Yeah,
with you
it's
on
more
that,
boss
actually.
design for me that I really like, and I haven't played that game yet.
The
but I just
monster
remember looking
design
at
was
those bosses
very
and going,
good.
Ooh.
All
Yeah.
right. You know what? It deserves an honorable mention just for the good boss
Right.
design. Now that I'm thinking about it. Hey, Witchfire is gorgeous. That game's a little too hard. Needs better balance.
Oh, just
It is a pretty game.
I
fellas.
I really like the art style of Wizard with a Gun.
Okay. Yeah.
I was very impressed by that one, and Worldless looked really cool too.
Worldless
Honestly,
has great style.
yeah.
Listen, Wo Long isn't everyone's favorite game. I get it. It is really pretty, so I'll at least mention this because none of us can really fight for it because we didn't play it, so I'm not going to move it over. That'd be disingenuous, I think. But it is, I think, a really good looking game overall, and a lot of the boss design from the little clips that I've seen out there also very, very good design. In addition to looking good. Okay,
Did you? It wouldn't make a 10. Oh, you didn't move over Planet of Lana. Yeah, I don't know. There's some background stuff that's really good looking in Planet of Lana, but I didn't
that's true.
end up putting it in my 10 or anything.
It's not in my 10 either.
What was
And
another
I'll-
one we might have skipped over? It doesn't matter. I had Persona 5 Tactica in my honorable mentions. Not
Oh,
really.
I forgot about that one.
It's
Okay.
maybe a little too cute. I don't know.
Okay, I'm okay either way.
Too cute. So too cute. Okay.
We can put it
Maybe.
in the honorables there.
Yeah, I mean it looks good, but it's going for a
Right.
different like. Kyle had a word for it. It's going for a different type of cute anime style.
The chibi.
I like cute.
Yes, I think it was
Okay.
might have been that.
All
The
right.
chibi.
There we go.
Yeah, we don't have much to remove at all. I think we're in a good
It's
place.
not the
guys.
full list that made it over.
Fuck my
You're
life.
right. You're right. And we didn't even move over Highland Song. I totally spaced on that. That's a great looking game.
Well, you know what? We got a beefy list here, okay?
We do. We got
All
plenty
Make it
going
10,
on.
If it's not, then don't.
We got plenty going on.
All right.
Take
I'm okay if we actually do almost like a secondary extra long list over here
Yeah.
of ones that you guys are like, this has
Really
to
wanna
be
push
over.
for, yeah.
Like I need this one on. I want to fight for this on the list. So I'm gonna start things off again. Alan Wake 2. I need this to be on the list somewhere.
All right.
I want to say Diablo 4 has got to be on the list somewhere.
Okay. All right.
Jeff, what do you think? What needs to be on there?
Okay, guys. No, I'm kidding. Hi-Fi Rush.
I was like, how many times is he gonna do that? Okay.
Yeah. He really doesn't like these games.
I'm turning into Bill Maher a little bit, but like a shitty impression of him. Okay,
Final Fantasy.
people.
Final
Final
Fantasy.
Fantasy.
All right, now are we sure about? No, I'm kidding. That's like a top 2 for me. So yeah.
Forza Motors. Well, let's wait. I'll wait on that.
Yeah, I could be
Okay.
talked off a ledge to be like, it's just cars.
I'm putting
And like,
Spider-Man
yeah, it
2
is.
over for
Spider-Man 2.
speed.
Yeah.
Speed,
yeah.
Hogwarts. I personally, that's a darling for me. Like I don't know about y'all.
It's in my 10.
Yeah, thank goodness. Because
It'll
yeah,
at
that's
least-
pretty high for me, especially.
Well, at
'cause
least
of
discuss
the-
it. How about that?
Yes,
Well, at
good.
Okay, I've got Jedi Survivor in mind too.
I do
pretty-
not. I do not.
Oh,
I had so many fidelity problems with that game when it launched.
that's right. You
yeah.
did. What if I didn't? I'm gonna still put it over here real quick.
Okay.
Maybe you could
Yeah,
talk
and
me.
even
What
though
if
I
I
did,
did?
I still am counting like the design and like all the other stuff, like the cantina being as cozy as it is, and there's a lot of things that I can. Yeah,
We can
pump
because
up
that one. Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair reason actually to potentially boot it off. Maybe.
Mario
I think
Wonder.
I think Tears of the Kingdom needs to be in.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree
Mario
with that.
Wonder needs to be in there
I
personally.
think Mario Wonder needs to be in there. Yeah.
And you said that Mortal Kombat 1 is the best Mortal Kombat has ever looked. Is that true of Street Fighter 6 as well, Kyle, or whoever else? Okay.
Yeah, Street Fighter 6 looks really sharp, and it's like doesn't lag or whatever. But Mortal Kombat 1 is way better looking to me.
Not only with the cutscenes, but also didn't they include like when they bring in the cameos? Isn't there like a little bit of a different style with the way characters look, or is it just costumes look different?
Well,
as
it's
they come out?
their outfits look different because it's literally like past versions of themselves.
Mhm.
But but there are games I'd put above that I'd.
Okay, so maybe
Visually speaking.
What about Like a Dragon
how are we
Gaiden?
feeling about Octopath Traveler 2? Because the three
Yeah,
of us really
that's
love that
in-
game.
That's in my 10.
That's the thing because we're at 9 now, and I had Sea of Stars.
We can
in
move
mine
over.
and
We can
Octopath,
move over
but-
like 20 if we need to. We have 40, and I need to narrow it down.
Oh,
This is
okay.
we'll be moved. Yeah.
We can put.
Well, in that
this-
case,
we can put
Octopath and Sea of Stars. Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
I
we can
don't
fight
have
for
Sea of
both
Stars in
those.
my 10.
Yeah, we can talk about those.
It's
You don't
pretty
appreciate
pixelated.
pixels, Jeff.
Octopath Traveler 2 is pixelated, but in a way that looks current.
Dave the
It looks
Diver?
current.
I'm gonna slap you.
And how about
Okay.
Cocoon and Dave the Diver and some of these smaller ones? Bramble,
I wouldn't move Bramble over personally.
Avatar is gorgeous.
Avatar.
Yeah.
It really is. But
Do you guys see? Okay. Do you guys see Armor-Core? All right.
I actually feel pretty strongly about Armor Core. That game is, I'd
would
say
back
visually.
I would back you up on that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, that game
Okay.
is like unbelievable, like visually.
Yeah.
Like
At least bring it over to this list. Yeah.
Okay,
all
people.
right, so we can. There's a bunch we can leave over here.
God damn it, Jeff.
Bringing
What
my
about
inner
Baldur's
Bill
Gate
Maher
3?
out.
I got to be honest. Like in the 20 hours I've spent, and I plan to spend more. I haven't necessarily thought, man, this is the most gorgeous game, but it does look good. It looks very good, but it's not like.
Very good looking game. Yeah.
It's not the thing I would say that's
I'm
at the
with
top
you.
of
With
our
the tried and
mind.
true style that D&D, but we're so
Yeah.
familiar with that style. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like every fantasy thing ever is built off of the look of D&D. So like I just don't know if it's doing anything new. I just think it's doing it really confidently.
Okay. Yeah, and maybe an Avatar. Is anyone actually going to want it on their top 10? Like I've actually got it.
No.
I will literally quit the podcast if we bring Avatar over.
I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to leave it here.
I will seppuku myself right now.
It looks really like Pandora looks really good in that game.
I've got to be honest.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
at the very bottom of my top 10, but that's only.
Yeah,
'cause
it's
it
not
looks
my
so
10
good.
at all. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
why-
it's.
To be super clear, for my game of the year, it didn't even crack my top like 25.
Right.
Like, it's not my favorite game.
I'm
by
just talking
any-
about visuals myself. It's not my
Visuals
10 at all.
only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not on either of your top 10. So right, or is it on yours, Tim?
It's
Is
on
that
It's at the
Tim's?
bottom. It's at the bottom
Okay.
of mine for my
It's at the
visuals.
bottom.
It's at the bottom.
What am I
I don't
saying
need it.
with
I don't need it though. We got plenty on the other side already. Okay. Let me go to the bottom of the list. So we
Okay,
don't ignore
alright,
these
okay.
at the bottom. Okay, guys. Let's keep moving.
Oh, wow. Wow, we're really we're getting real cartoony here, huh?
getting late.
Okay, people.
What do we think
All
about
right.
What's left? Jusant, Liza P.
I mean, I would bring Starfield over, but I would be first to be like, cut that out once we're starting to narrow stuff down.
All right.
I
Cut
don't-
it
Yeah.
out.
I gotta
You know what
tell
I
you,
mean?
there are
Like once we start.
parts of Starfield that I think are gorgeous. There are parts that I think, all right, well, that part didn't get as much TLC, maybe.
Yeah.
Dude,
for
Sweet.
sure.
It's another ideas versus execution type of conversation too, where it's like, man, there's a lot of high concept ideas.
at least
in this
talk
that they
about
really
it.
visualize well, but like, sometimes you're talking to a talking head for like 30 minutes in that game, and they don't always look great.
Sometimes they look fine. Sometimes they look bad.
Kind of depends on how deep into the game they are.
Think about
Sure.
the like, especially for the storyline. When you go to some planets, they look really barren, and some of the caves, it's like, wow, this was truly like just a copy and paste of the last cave I was in. That's pretty boring. That's true. That's a knock on it. That's fair.
Yeah.
But when you get inside some of these ships, and even on some of these planets and the cities and their shops, like if you look around, the detail is everywhere, and it's really pretty.
when
and
you
the way
go
the
to the,
steam's
like-
coming up out of the grates and neon and all that
I
kind of
forget
stuff.
what the ship that you go on, but it's like an information broker or an artifact collector.
Yes.
And like that ship is the best. Like I'm just
when
like
you
this
steal,
is
you have to steal the thing from him.
so insanely well concepted. You know,
Yeah.
like it's yeah, really something special. Yeah. Then other
think
times
it's really
you're
brilliant.
looking at a world that doesn't have anything on it. So
Jeff felt pretty strong about Viewfinder, right?
Yes. But it's at the bottom, kind of like Avatar is for Tim.
Okay.
So it's my 10, but like it's purely because I mean the gameplay and the visuals go hand in hand with this type
True.
of game, where you're placing literally like a Polaroid and putting it into your game, and it's your new scenery for the next level or whatever. Like it's just crazy how seamless they made it.
Agreed.
Look at this photograph.
Every
I mean,
time I
that's-
do, it makes me laugh.
That's actually the game is
Said,
Nickelback.
It is. Look at this photograph. Every time you put it on there, it does a chorus.
I would quit. I would quit the game. I would quit the game.
So what about like Dead Island, Dave the Diver, Disney
Dead
Illusion Island? What do we think about these?
I feel like
No,
Dave
Dead
should be on
Island.
there.
Get Dead Island off there.
Okay, so that
It's
can
not gonna
stay.
make it.
What about any
I-
of these in this group right here of 6?
I have Convergence at 9 and then Viewfinder at 10, but like, I get it.
Convergence,
Like,
maybe.
if we don't have room for it,
Convergence might get kicked back off, but let's just start with it here. I don't think it's in my honorable mentions. It's not.
I just love the art style so much, and like, I don't. It's in the gameplay at least. It feels like it's hand drawn. And I don't know. I always admire when fast moving action games, platformers are, I don't know, designed so.
Bramble the
Certain
Mountain
stuff.
King has some pretty incredible design.
Yeah.
And it has times where I can see the where it has shortcomings. There are times when
totally.
Yeah.
it's clear, but there are other times when I'm like, wow, that use of
It's
focus.
mainly just
on
like
depth
it's
is
kind of
really
funny
good
how it
sometimes.
works. Like like the out of focus stuff in the background is incredible to look at. Your main character, he's fine. You know, like,
Yes,
It's so
Yes.
weird how like the human characters that you're playing as are like you and your sister basically. They look okay. Like they're-
okay, but then
you
when
know?
the swamp thing comes out after you, that
Yeah.
whole sequence when you're walking through the mud, I'm like, this is one of the coolest looking things I've
Terrifying.
ever seen,
Yes,
and it's
yeah.
terrifying. Yeah,
And then like the final, you call it a fight, I guess, with
Yes,
this
with the
giant,
in the throne,
literally the Mountain
room.
King.
Yeah,
That whole sequence is freaking unbelievable, man. It blew my mind.
so
I don't know about moving it over. Considering
I don't
what we
either.
have over there, I'm like,
I think these three are all staying here as
So
really good honorable
yeah.
mentions. Go ahead, Dan.
I know. I don't. Or at least I'm pretty sure none of us dove into it as much as say Derek did. Liza P. So
I got
I've
about
also
20 hours in it. Style in that game is stellar. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah, because I
Got a
was
lot of
gonna say
style.
like I've watched there's a couple of streamers that I tab up in the morning and I've seen like some later stuff like boss designs, and I mean honestly just I remember being excited about that game because I was like, okay, so a Souls game, sure. I could be 50-50 on those.
Yeah.
But like the idea of like the Pinocchio angle I thought was really, really cool and unique. And just from what I've seen of the game, like it just seems like it's honestly like a top 3 Souls like game that's not from software.
Oh, it might be
Like,
the number one. Yeah, it's up there for
Sure. Yeah. It looks phenomenal. I love the style of it, the atmosphere, just the concept of the visuals and again the world and mixing Pinocchio in there. Like I said, you've played the most, but like if that is enough to carry it over.
It is on my top 10. I actually have it above some things that people might not be happy about, but I've got it up pretty high. It's like in the bottom half of my top 10 though, but I'm just when you consider all the like the sheer
it
number
looks
of
sharp.
lives.
Like it's
I
not
thought it
an
was
ugly
pretty
game
high.
by any means. It looks pretty sharp. Like it's yeah.
Well, I was gonna say the same thing about like a Dragon Gaiden, where like
Oh,
Kyle has spent the most time with it, and I know that it's got great style and great visuals and really
Yeah, but-
interesting use of real life video too. By the way, I thought that was interesting the way they used.
No,
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Don't bring that over though.
Okay,
True. You know what? Love the game. Fuck it though. Fuck that game.
Yeah, I mean, there's like
That's
like
what I
we're
heard.
talking about like a 10 list, you know.
yeah.
I mean, it's probably not even on my 10, you know.
Yeah.
I think Dave the Diver, Dead Island 2, and Disney Illusion Island are all staying in the honorable
Yeah.
mention list.
I mean, I could see a world where I champion Dave the Diver pretty hard, but like I just don't know how it stacks up against this whole list over here.
True. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I don't have it in my top 10, but now like every time I think back on stuff as I hear someone else just say it out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I do like that more than I thought. But it wasn't in my top 10 as I initially went through my list. just for visuals. For visuals only. And what about Disney Illusion Island, Jeff? Did you have any strong opinions about that one? It does look really cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool for like being like a throwback. When I say throwback, I mean like they're doing like whatever 40s, 50s style.
Steamboat Willie almost.
Yeah, they're doing like really
not quite that
from a really
Just a couple
racist
filming
era in
recently.
human history
Yeah, that's
type
right.
of animation. It's really impressive.
It's like pretty much exactly like the newer animated versions that they do, like those shorts that they've brought back. That's
yes.
Yeah, they did bring back
classic
those
but
shorts.
modern.
I forgot about those. Yeah.
And you know, being on the Switch, you have to have a good art style that will fit with the less powerful, you know, engine that's running it. And they did a good job. It looks good.
They really did. Yeah.
I don't feel like I've only played a little bit of Fire Emblem Engage, just like the opening. I didn't.
It's cool.
It's got
Don't bring
it's got
it
some
over.
cool graphics. I just don't know if it's top 10.
It's just always
Yeah,
it's always
I
solid.
like-
That
yeah.
series is just always solid. Yeah.
Always solid. But some of those
That was
opening
my
cutscenes,
first
by the
time
way,
playing
are
one of those
super cool.
games, so like I really like dug all the colors it was using, all that stuff. But if you're telling me, yeah, that's par for the course, then I believe you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, like the character models are always really good. You know, really well designed and stuff like that. Like it's just it so hits all the notes that it normally hits. So
right.
Was it mean to leave? I don't think Jusant's coming over.
I don't think so either. There's
Okay.
like, and it also because like sometimes your main activity is climbing walls, and those aren't always going to be amazing to look at. Like, I mean, it's just not. So it's
on
really
your cliffs list, Dan.
Yeah.
Is it on your best
it
cliffs?
should be on the best cliffs ever list. Period. Because it's literally a cliff game.
Cliffs.
I haven't experienced the cliff, so I have I have nothing. I got
No
nothing.
comment.
That's fair.
And
But-
Dan
but-
takes his cliff seriously.
He
He
will
doesn't
not comment
comment
at this
unless
time.
he's
That's true.
He will not. Yeah,
That's
he's
true.
he's got so much integrity with the cliffs.
I'm leaving Minecraft Legends over
All
here
right.
too, by the way. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was gonna say Jusan is only really visually just, I don't know, not really jaw dropping, but whatever. You'll be like, wow, look how pretty that is.
Did you
When you
finish
get to
that
a
game?
cliffside, no, I didn't. I know you did. You stuck your nose.
You
to the
will
grindstone and
actually-
beat it.
You will actually literally, because you stick your face into a rock for a lot of that game, but
Yeah.
you will actually be surprised at the variety of environments that they
Yeah. I got halfway through it, so like it was really cool to like finish climbing an area, and then the next area I go into is totally different. Like it.
They use sun in some cool ways with shade, where like
Yeah,
it'll
that stuff
burn,
was
it'll
a
burn
pain in my
away
butt.
certain types
Yeah.
of handholds, and so you have to like anyway. It's they do
Stamina
some cool
goes
stuff.
down faster. Yeah.
So I'm lumping together Forza, Liza P, and Mortal Kombat 1 because it sounded like we were a little bit on the fence about those.
Right.
Okay, let's move some of these up just so we can see them. Oxenfree 2, Jeff, thoughts on that one?
Definitely a graphical improvement over the first game. Like it just felt like, I don't know, man. It was it felt a little more zoomed in, and like they were able to get away with more,
Okay.
graphically speaking. But no,
want
it
to
doesn't
fight
stack
for it?
up.
Okay.
Nah, it doesn't stack up to the rest of them.
Kyle and Jeff, I don't know, Dan, if you played Persona 5 Tactica. Anybody want to fight for that
No.
one?
No, I mean, it actually I ended up liking it better than I thought I would because I'm always
same
kind of
here.
like whatever with chibi stuff, but like, yeah, I'm not gonna fight for that.
Okay.
It's like it's cute in a better way than like
It's definitely on best cute list,
theater rhythm.
for sure.
You know. Yeah, it's definitely on the most cute. Just games that are like cute.
Yeah, it's cute.
You know, we're anti-cute here apparently.
We're
guys.
anti-cute.
All right.
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't
we're
really
learning.
appreciate
Don't
this.
we
I don't really
segregate
appreciate
cute to a
this.
different list. you know?
We're learning this. I think
But you're ugly.
Ravenlock and Remnant 2 are likely staying over
move 'em up.
here.
Yeah, you know, if I would rather choose something like Liza P over Remnant if we're talking about like
Yeah.
quality of like how bad guys look and bosses look and stuff like that.
Oh,
And I'd rather
Bosses and
see
Liza P I have
Octopath-
seen. They're awesome.
I'd rather see Octopath Traveler 2 over Ravenlock because I know it's easy to compare Octopath to something like Sea of Stars. I think it's way different from Sea of Stars. I think it's
Yeah,
much
they
more
are.
like
Yeah,
something
well,
like
completely
it's much
different
more like
styles,
it's much more like Ravenlock or even like Minecraft Legends, where you've got a combination of real life lighting and some elements of the environment with very pixelated, blocky things elsewhere. Like it's a real cool juxtaposed thing that they do, and Ravenlock does that really well too.
And there's some freaking dude. Some of those worlds or whatever places you visit are just God. They're so pretty and neon and whatever.
Agreed. Yeah. Okay, so we've got. I think most of these are going to stay over here. Strayed Lights, Street Fighter 6, Trine 5, Ugly, Viewfinder, Wild Hearts, Witchfire, Wizard with a Gun, and Worldless. I think are all honorable mentions for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's
Forza, Lies of P, and Mortal Kombat 1. It sounded like we didn't have a definitive answer on quite yet. That's okay. Let me move this up. Okay, so there's our honorable mentions. That does trim it down significantly, which is excellent. So if these three were also fighting for spots, but they're towards the bottom, I would say looking at this list now over here, we've got what is that? 16? Am I counting right? 7? Maybe it's 18. Anyway, we got a lot. We got to start bumping some back over here.
Yeah.
What do we think? I'm wondering if Convergence is one that gets bumped off.
Oh
Jeff?
yeah, I forgot you moved it over. Yes, bumped that off. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't feel super crazy about Forza. Even though I think it's one of the best looking racing games you can possibly play, I just feel like
it's kind of like the equivalent is like
darlings out
when we
there.
put in Call of Duty last year or the year before, whatever. Almost
Yeah.
every year. And it's
Yeah.
like, of course, Forza Motorsport looks
Well,
good.
I think
That's
Gran Turismo. I
the
forget
main
where Gran
thing it
Turismo
does.
landed.
Yeah.
If it landed on a list, great. If it didn't, great too. Like it just.
Okay.
It's cool that you're photorealistic. However,
Yeah.
I think
And also, we were the only ones that really got to experience it like in a looking beautiful, because on the PC port apparently it was a nightmare. So.
Ooh.
Yep.
Visually
That's a bummer.
speaking, there was a lot of pop in and like cars disappearing and shit like that. So like,
Yeesh.
at launch,
That is a
Well,
bummer.
that's unfortunate.
yeah.
Jeff and Kyle, Dan, did you play Hi-Fi Rush? I don't think you did, right? You
I
saw
played the
clips of
first
it.
hour or two.
Okay, so
Gotta
then
be on
all
the top 10.
so then all three of you
Just-
thoughts on that being in best visuals of the year.
It has to be in the top.
I
10.
loved the comic book.
This
style.
is top 5 for me.
Okay, cool. We're
Yeah.
good. It's top 5 for me too, so that's at least enough for it to be on the list.
Yeah.
I think, even if it's not super high. Dan and Kyle and Jeff, you played a little bit of it. Thoughts? I think Tears of the Kingdom is one of the best designed and best looking, but I'm open to.
Are you guys ready? You ready for this? This is in my top 10.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Wait, but
okay.
I thought you didn't even
It's
play.
gotta
Wait,
be
did
on
you
it.
play it?
He played it a
I
little
thought
bit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I played a
I
few
get
all
of the
mixed up
opening
because
hours. I barely
I think
scratched the
it
surface.
has to be.
but-
This game is
But
amazing.
even
You
then,
can-
even only doing introductory hours, I was still like, look at how pretty this is. Like I couldn't fight it.
Yeah, and you're like, how
their
is this
faces
working
are
on
so
the Switch?
expressive too, like all
Yeah.
the characters.
How does it work on
I've-
the Switch? Someone explain it to me.
I
Right
don't
now.
know.
It's
dude.
literal sorcery.
You can,
It's
like,
literal
the way that
sorcery.
you can jump from the top spot and then go all the
yeah.
way to the depths in like one seamless drop is
Yep,
like
yep,
it's
yep.
completely
It's
insane to me.
stupid. It's stupid, is what it is.
When you're
It's
when you're
disrespectful.
traveling on the back of a dragon, like any dragon, all 6 of
Yeah.
them that are in the game or however many, it is the coolest thing in the entire world. Like it always is. It never gets
Or
old.
when the towers launch you up in the air and then you're just taking pictures as you fall to
Yeah.
mark things on your map. I'm still like, how is this loading up
best.
from such a far distance?
I think literally Miyamoto sacrificed babies. I think he just straight up sacrificed babies.
And you know what? I'm
That's-
glad he did. I heard those babies kind of sucked
Yeah.
and they cried all the time.
That's
so,
it's a
True.
cultural thing. We wouldn't
True.
understand it. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think there's a few that are darlings that I think are staying over, even just based on the reaction. Like Armored Core 6, I think is staying. That means maybe Starfield isn't staying, Kyle, based
maybe
on.
Starfield isn't. Yeah,
It might
I
not
even
be.
said like it's one that I'll sacrifice as quick as we need to. So I will
And-
say it when you beat this game though, there is some visual shit going on that
Dude,
is so
so
out
good.
of this world. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
the
too many.
F-15
There's too
right
many
here.
low lows for Starfield. There's there's highs and lows. So I'm
Yeah.
okay with it moving off.
Yeah.
Same with Lies of P. Just looking at the variety of things we have up here already.
Yeah.
I just to me, I'm like, hey, as long as we can all say like it's one of the best honorable mentions or something. Like if we could just give
Yeah.
it a verbal little pat on the back on its way out. I'm okay
if I
with
have
it.
to, I will. No, I'm kidding. I totally agree with that.
But I do have a lot of this other stuff above
How do
it.
you feel about Mortal Kombat 1, Dan? I think you and I are the ones who played it, so it's
Yeah,
so good.
I've
It's
seen
the
it. Like I
best-
mean, I've
yeah.
definitely seen all the gameplay stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
really, it's mind blowing, pretty much how
Like the
how good it
cutscenes are
looks.
gorgeous.
The
Like the game
backgrounds are
itself
gorgeous.
looks gorgeous.
Is that
Yeah,
like a
there's so much
must?
going on. I mean, no. I probably, to be honest, I probably would have picked because like I do like art direction. I think that's like incredibly important, and I actually would a little bit choose Liza P before Mortal Kombat. So
Ooh,
Okay.
you just said it.
um,
I'm gonna just keep it here for a second. All right.
I think ultimately
yeah.
both of these just get cut though, is what it sounds like.
Shut up.
unless we're doing
Yeah,
a top
I'm
like
sticking-
15
sticking
or
with
something.
that.
Shut up! Shut up! You
Shut up
just
with
got
your
the
mouth.
us now, yeah.
Unless we do like a top 15 and we just leave Starfield on there too.
Unless we do
man.
that. Unless we do that. That's true.
Oh man, ponies
No.
have a field day with leaving Starfield on
Yeah,
there.
I
It's
feel like
so
we should
funny.
move Starfield over and keep it on there just to give
But
people heart attacks. To be honest,
The sales and the concurrent players
I can't
are
believe
not.
so many players played this game. Everybody hated. Ugh.
I like the voices we do for people who don't like it. Okay, so those of you who played a lot of Diablo 4 agree that it's on our top 10. Just making sure.
That Kyle
Yeah,
feels
I
more
feel-
strongly than I do
Okay.
on it.
Okay, fair enough. I have no problem with it being on there. Just making sure that there's others who feel strongly about it because I played it for like an hour and a half, maybe close to 2 hours.
Blizzard is known for having the best cutscenes in the industry.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, but like the gameplay, like it
Well,
looks
I mean,
decent.
Visuals.
And that's mostly what you're doing is gameplay. So I don't.
Compare it for
I think
me.
the gameplay looks good too, though. So
compare it for me to something
good,
like what's a fair comparison? I was gonna say Armored Core 6, but I'm like that's a weird
Baldur's Gate
comparison.
3 perspective.
Jeff is doing more criticizing than agreeing, so I would say maybe that's not as solid in the top 10 as I thought it was.
For Diablo 4.
Yeah, because no one else. I mean, it's just going to be me championing that one. That's a lot.
Dan, you played some Diablo 4.
Yeah, I agree with the cutscenes. If it were to stay on the list, it would be towards the bottom for me. But yeah, like the cutscenes are gorgeous.
Would you keep it over Mortal Kombat 1, over Armored Core 6?
I would keep Armored Core 6 over it.
Okay.
But I mean, it's also a different style. I mean, it's a different.
I know it is. Yeah,
they're all different.
Yeah.
Welcome to lists, Dan.
Listen, you love lists. I fucking hate lists.
Well, that's the list, dude.
Well, I want to shake your hand.
But yeah, no, I mean, again, Kyle's completely like, I mean, thinking back to like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, our cutscenes. Sorry,
Warcraft.
Design, I guess that's what I'm hung up on.
Yeah,
but that's not the whole thing. I want to look at the whole thing of the game.
But when you zoom in, also in that game, the attention to detail in that game is insane for a game that's like so isometric and pulled up. It's like, why did they put that much detail in something that you're almost never going to see unless you zoom all the way in? You know, it's crazy to me that they even add.
That is the unfortunate thing with that, because you're bound to miss those details. That's the thing because of the perspective, right? Because of the perspective. So
so let me ask you. Okay, Dan, you haven't played Jedi Survivor yet, right? I know it's a game you own, but haven't dived in. Okay.
I mean, I definitely know that game is like looks great.
I hope it does now. Consistently wise.
Now, Jeff,
I think it
tell me
always
this.
looked great. It just maybe didn't play great. I think.
Keep in mind, this is not like best technical performance, but I'm not saying it's not part of visuals. It absolutely is. Just go with me on this. Like, assuming that the technical performance improved, which I know that it did, and not everyone experienced the poor tech performance. Just curious, how does that change how you view it? Does it change how you view it? Or is it hard because that's what you experienced?
I need to see it firsthand. Which unfortunately I haven't gone back to the game yet, and I really want to.
All right, let's talk about Octopath and Sea of Stars. It's time to get honest, fellas.
Oh boy.
Do both of these need to be on our top 10? And they're not. I'm not saying they're similar because I just said earlier I don't actually think they're all that similar.
Listen,
but I don't have either of them on my top 10 list, even though I think they have amazing style. I love them. I don't know what it is. Something about both of them. They just kind of bump down the list a little bit as I put things together. That's all.
We need some diversity on this list. All right, we're gonna look like a bunch of schmucks with our 4K 60 frame per second games. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. That's
this
true.
isn't a list made in 2001 though, so I think we should take Sea of Stars out.
You know, but you were made before.
Got him.
Move you from the podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
I beat the game. It's not like I'm sitting here going, this game is hideous. I hate
it. It looks good. Yeah.
Again, Jeff doesn't appreciate pixels.
What it is.
Doesn't appreciate pixels.
Doesn't appreciate
anti-pixels confirm.
I don't know what to tell you. Gaming in general nowadays has spoiled the crap out of me. So when a game like Sea of Stars comes out, I'm like, yeah, looks okay. Looks pretty good.
Well, here, let's just move it.
I don't know how to react to them, basically.
I'm curious to get your reaction too, Kyle, because you've played some Sea of Stars. When you look at these games, kind of in this collection here, does Sea of Stars, in your mind, for you,
it's like in my top 5. Yeah.
Does it kick? What does it kick out? Like, what doesn't
kicks
belong?
Out Armor Core for sure. Like 1,000% kicks out Armor Core.
What else? Anything else that would kind of maybe get bumped out?
I mean, I like Sea of Stars more than even. I don't know. Everything else up there is pretty.
Like Hogwarts get bumped
I would
for
kick
you?
out Legacy, for Sea of Stars, but like, again, like those are so different games, or different styles. It's hard to
agree.
If everyone else likes Hogwarts Legacy a lot, I'll be like, of course you guys do. It looks great. I'm on board. Like I'm not anti being on board Hogwarts. It's just I mean, Sea of Stars, I think it looks great for what it is, for the type of game that it is.
Well, hang on. I'm going to circle back to an idea that Dan already had and has said probably 3 times we just do top 15 and then just get into the ranking here instead of trying to figure out what to pick.
Starfield #1.
Jeff, I'm gonna
Please.
slap you so hard.
I just want to make ponies mad.
Jeff,
they're just so irrational, and it's fun.
Jeffrey, I'm gonna rip your arms off and beat you with them. I don't know. I just love saying that. It's just
Good Lord.
I would like to see you. I would genuinely like to see you try. That sounds.
And speaking of which,
really,
Mortal
really difficult.
Kombat. No, I'm just kidding.
Speaking of which, yeah.
All right, so I'm not. This isn't the order. I'm just trying to move them up to kind of rank a bottom 5 or so.
Right, because those were already near the bottom.
I feel
of our
like
discussion.
these 5.
Well, maybe not Sea of Stars. I don't know how the others feel, or how you feel, Tim. I don't know how you feel about Sea of Stars.
It's not on my top 10. I think I've got it in like this looks really pretty. Same with Octopath Traveler 2. Like I like them both, but I feel like I've got others that are ranked higher than it this year.
Okay.
But you can make an argument that stuff like Jedi Survivor, Hogwarts Legacy, and I would understand it. You can make arguments that like for various reasons, maybe they are also kind of either samey or whatever. As I played through Hogwarts Legacy,
off of licensed property, so there's no
based off licensed properties.
There's no
the creative element
imagination
goes
that
down
there.
a little bit.
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah,
guess you can
that's
make
true.
that argument.
You probably could. I think Hogwarts Legacy, Survivor's the same way. As you went to different environments and different areas opened up, especially as you like unlock the creature raising and all that kind of stuff, I was just like, dude, this looks gorgeous. This looks so good. I don't know what they did, but they made it look really.
There were moments in both of those games to me that I was just like, oh man, gosh, just this area or this thing looks really good. You know,
Yeah.
like anything inside of the castle in Hogwarts. Obviously, I mentioned the canteen and Jedi Survivor earlier. You know, there's moments where you're just like, I just want to be here for a little bit. Thank you for creating this sense of space.
Yep. Agreed. And I think Diablo 4 is somewhere in this bottom 5, 6, somewhere down here. Where do you have Diablo compared to Starfield, Kyle?
I mean, Starfield would probably be at like the bottom of this list. You know, for me.
Okay, that's fair. I think as well. And probably Lies of P and Mortal Kombat 1, since they were all already cusp games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cusp.
That's a Dan, think about what you know of Lies of P, just in the style. You were saying that you admire the style, but would you still put Mortal Kombat 1 above it for overall visuals? That for you, your personal.
Did you say Lies of P earlier? I thought you chose Lies of P over Mortal Kombat.
I think you did, because just for like variety and its uniqueness, you had said.
I think just a little bit, yeah.
And what about Diablo 4? Does it go above both those, below both those?
It would be below. But I mean, again, it's like when you say that, it's like, I'm not saying you're ugly, Diablo. You're not ugly.
The reason that we're extending it to 15 is because we love them all too much.
You know why I don't rate Diablo 4 that high is because I don't like sand.
God damn it.
It's a giant act with sand in it. He's right. Yeah. He's out of line, but he's right.
He's out of line, but he's right.
That's true. There is a lot of sand.
Kyle, you've got Sea of Stars above stuff like Mortal Kombat 1 personally, just in your personal take. Okay. And what about compared to Armored Core? You said it was above that too, right?
Sea of Stars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dan, what about you?
Diablo's above all of these games for me, but I'm ready to just give up on that one.
Oh, okay. All right. And Dan, for Sea of Stars and Armored Core?
Yeah, Sea of Stars would be above.
Okay, because you guys are the ones fighting for Armored Core, so I'm just getting a feel for it. So maybe that one bumps down a little bit. Maybe Diablo 4 goes above Armored Core, and that one pops down here, and we have Diablo. Because I know that I don't think Diablo 4 is being insulted. It was more of like what.
I get it. Well, I also get that like Gothic is not like the style that a lot of people like either. So and that is the most Gothic game of all time. Also, yeah.
Very Gothic. Yeah.
It definitely depends. Yeah.
Sounds like Armored Core is down here towards the bottom. Maybe Lies of P and this is almost a tie between these three based on everything I'm hearing. But and then Sea of Stars is kind of above those.
I would say like Mortal Kombat goes at like it would be Starfield, Armored Core, Mortal Kombat, Lies of P, Diablo 4 is kind of.
I'm fine with that too. I like that too.
Because again, I think Dan said that he liked Lies of P more, and I totally agree that like the art design in that game is way better than anything Mortal Kombat's doing, even though Mortal Kombat looks great.
When you get into that church section, it's just so good. Okay, for Lies of P, I mean. Okay, so I think that's. P-Lies. I think that goes up through at 15 up through 10. So
wow, almost there. We're halfway there. That's not really.
We're not. We're halfway there in our hearts.
We're literally a third.
We're always halfway there in our hearts.
Always halfway there in our hearts. All right. So this is just alphabetized. That's not even alphabetized correctly. Hang on. Let's do that so it's fair. So no one thinks
we're fake alphabetized.
Okay. I've been the main one talking about Alan Wake 2. I'm not assuming it needs to even be towards the top. We might even discover it actually needs to be lower for some of you. I personally found it to be stylistically and technically one of the most impressive.
So, I mean, it won an award, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, so
it did.
I don't know how hard of a take that is, but I agree with what you
art
just said
direction.
for sure.
Did it win for art direction?
I think it
did.
I think
yeah.
it did. There's no way to know.
Game
Don't look
direction.
it up.
Impossible.
No way to know, yeah.
Impossible
to find out.
I'm
I just
not
want to make
looking it
sure
up. I'm
that
actually looking at porn right now. I'm not looking that up at all.
There's a lot of
Top
Alan Wake 2
10.
porn. That's what we're
Yes, it
learning,
was.
yeah.
You were right. Art direction it won for. I was confused the two, even though I know they're different things. Like art direction is visuals, and game direction is like overall product stuff.
Like a director.
Yeah. The and not only the usage of real footage, which by the way, that is part of what makes it visually stunning from start to finish.
No other game can pull this off. Like
it pulled it off in
like,
some
it's
weird
so hard to
ways.
like integrate live action
Yes.
into a game without harkening back to a very dark time in video games. So
Yep. But that, as well as the in-game visuals, are truly impressive. And of course, it helps that the use of light, which is a main combat feature, it's like a core of the combat, is the
got
use
some
of
of the
light.
best lighting in any video
it
game I've
looks
ever seen.
Great.
So,
Yeah, when you go to like the city square, there's a bunch of times when you go there when you're in the kind of dark place, and that the glow of the neon lights of this abandoned city, and the way that there's just garbage on the ground, these shadows following you around and talking to you while things are flickering. All of it, the setting is great. There's a amusement park scene that is truly terrifying.
Coffee World.
Oh no, I don't want to play that at all. Amusement park in a horror game?
Oh,
Nope, and out of that.
Don't worry. There's also a really fun hospital scene, which is a good time.
Sure.
Classic,
Yeah.
Thank
They don't
you,
have
classic
dead people.
scenes, yeah.
They don't
It's
possibly
not even
have
like
dead
a full-on hospital. It's one of those smaller, like taking care of older people who are dying. Like
Yeah.
it's like a anyway,
Hospice?
it's a little ward.
Hospice? I guess I don't know what they call that. I forget.
It's not great. So
Yes.
anyway, I've got it pretty high personally. Final Fantasy 16 has some of the best looking spectacle that I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean,
Let me just go on a limb and say this that maybe Star Wars Jedi Survivor is probably towards the bottom of the list. Just with how much
of these 9, I've got it up pretty high, man. I've got it number 3 overall.
I do too, but like you got two people here who don't feel the same way, so or one who haven't played it when it's
Dan's more neutral, and Jeff had some rough.
Yeah,
tech
my
problems
experience is coloring it a little strongly, but it was mainly like the first act of it, like when it was first getting wide open on that first planet where the canteen is.
Okay.
That's where cantina
that kind of like country western style.
Yeah, that's where I was like, what is with the frame? Like, I've never been a person that normally notices frame drops or whatever, and I was like, oh my god, everywhere I turn, holy crap, what's going on? But like then, I don't know why. For some reason, my memory is that the second half of the game was like, I barely had any problems.
Well, let's do this.
I think they just patched it and made it a little better, a little smoother. I don't know, but it wasn't like. I wish I could have had. There's like a certain visual mode that I wish I could have had turned on, but I couldn't turn it on because if I did, then it would start to get all frame droppy and.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was that I was having, but. The game hated it.
The games that seemed to have a little bit of hesitance of full-on support, and I know we haven't talked about Spider-Man 2 or Mario Brothers Wonder yet, or Zelda even. Those might have a little hesitancy that I'm not aware of yet either. But these 4 seem to have, well, maybe not Octopath. Maybe that's not fair to say. Definitely these 3 seem to have a little bit of hesitancy in saying, yes, those should be really high on our list. Sea of Stars had a little bit of like me saying, I think it's really good, not one of my faves. And Jeff wouldn't have it on his top 10. So maybe that one, of course, towards the bottom. But I'm trying to gauge between that, Jedi Survivor, Hogwarts Legacy. There seems to be a little bit more of like, hey, those aren't super high. So I think those are our 8, 9, 10, maybe. Or
what a year. What
does
a year,
Octopath Traveler 2 above Sea of Stars check out for everybody? I know it does for Jeff.
Dan, how do you feel about that?
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm kind of having the same kind of crisis where it's like, what? Again, they're different in style to me enough where I'm like, I don't know, what kind of mood am I in?
Yeah.
What mood are you in right now? That's
you and your logic.
Because it's like Octopath does the
Even your-
HD, it does the HD 2D thing where it's like it's classic pixel, but it's like it's modernizing with the whole again the HD and the
Yeah.
perspective of the backgrounds
Okay.
and almost like
and if we
I
want
almost feel
to,
like you should give it to that because it's trying to do more rather than
Okay.
just be
Sure.
a pixel game. It's like maybe that's the logic I have in my head, that you give the nod to Octopath because it's trying to do a fusion of something old and something new. Even though I know Sea of Stars is like the best looking pixels can get because obviously it's made in 2023, so it's
Yeah.
obviously going to look better of things that came up before it. But I think Octopath going that extra mile of creating that extra plane or half plane, I don't know. Maybe is that fair logic?
also like
I guess
it's
I
also
don't know.
like big boy Square going against little indie guys.
I was
I
just
know,
going to ask for that.
yeah. Do we
I
really
was just
want
going to
to?
ask you, do you give Sea of Stars a point bump or two just for that alone above
I think it's just a preference
above a
of
team
style.
that
Yeah, I think at the
This
end of the
is-
day, it's just a preference in style. Yeah,
I think so too. And I don't want to at all say because there's a previous game that has similar style. This looks better and it performs better. Like it just does. Like
Mhm.
I understand on the outside looking in, you could see screenshots and say it looks just like the first game.
I
At a glance,
like
maybe, but
I like the diorama, like pixel, like these little pixelated characters and environments and sort of this diorama type of perspective with the depth in the background and everything. Like I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
that's something that my eyes, for some reason,
so maybe
prefer as
Octopath
well.
has the edge over Sea of Stars. In
It's
this
very
particular
slight.
case.
It's
Yeah,
very
I would say slight edge. Yeah.
it's very
And then-
slight.
slight.
So when you look at Jedi Survivor, then Kyle, if you had to rank these now, forget about Hogwarts for just a second. Do you rank that above or below Octopath and Sea of Stars for you? Because I know you said you have Sea of Stars pretty high.
I do have Sea of Stars pretty high. I would. Jesus Christ. And like my whole list has changed since us talking about this. You know what I
Same.
mean? Like, yeah, but everything has changed. So I can't even. I've
Yeah,
closed
I'm
my phone. I'm not even
uncomfortable
looking at my
even-
list
yeah.
anymore. You know.
Exactly. I haven't pulled mine up in a
Uncomfortable.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've abandoned old Kyle's list.
Imagine
It's
my
new Kyle
child-
now.
yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I don't know, man. I think it would be a cooler list to celebrate lower res graphics over 2 licensed games. I think for me, if we want to like make it a
Okay, that's fair.
like because I don't know, like I feel like standing out, with all these new 4K 60 frame per second video games, like standing out's really hard for a game that looks like Octopath or Sea of Stars, and the fact that they do, I don't know, that deserves some points for me, in my opinion.
No, I hear you. And Jeff, you've played all 4 of these games and you enjoyed all 4 of them. So
Oh yeah. Don't
visually,
worry. This category makes it sound like Jedi Survivor. Like I'm saying, Jedi Survivor is like just dog shit, guys. It's just so bad.
I don't think you think
But it's
that.
like when we do our overall game of the year, you're gonna be like, Jeff, like,
Yeah,
love
right.
the crap out of this game. What the hell?
Right.
But
yeah,
is this the order you would put it in right here, or would you put maybe Hogwarts up a little higher? Like,
No, Hogwarts. It's not fair for me to. I have such a bias when it comes to Hogwarts, man.
And I have the same thing about Jedi, where I want to be
Same.
like, you guys, but they
Man.
nailed the stormtroopers. They look
Yeah,
right,
I'm
they
sitting
look
here like,
exactly
guys,
right,
Guys, they nailed Hogsmeade. They nailed the rumor requirement. Like they didn't even need
Yeah.
to do that. They
Yeah.
gave me
They
place-
did.
They gave me
Yeah.
4 different places to visit animals. That's insane.
yeah, and they all look good.
And they all look great. Yeah, and they're all
Yeah.
very distinct and very different.
Remember when you walk into one of those areas, like through the mirrors or whatever, to those places where your
Yeah.
animals are, and you're just like, what? They didn't even have to make it look this
Yeah.
good.
and
It could have been an
seeing the
inventory
amount
box where you
Yeah,
move
it
your
could have just
animals
been
around.
something in the menus.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't even have to look like this.
Seeing like the amount of like that's where the rumor requirement, dude. That's where you customize, brother. Because
I
like
spent so
if-
much time doing that too, which like
Yeah.
I never in a million
Did you
years.
see,
would
did
have
you
thought
guys
I was
see
gonna
any
do
of
that.
like at the time when the game came out, people were doing this like crazy? But did you see any of those videos of like people making, making like crafting like a maze almost for like some of their animals and stuff
I
like
didn't
that?
see exactly that, but I saw some really
Yeah.
interesting rooms of requirements that with just the
Yeah.
layouts and the things that they choose. I was just like, oh, I'm gonna copy this.
It's like its own separate game. Like it's just
Yeah.
crazy how
Like
freaking
for a moment,
thorough
it
that
becomes
part
Sims.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it becomes like
Yeah. But
Maybe
yeah,
this-
that and like the fidelity when you're flying around on either a broom or a hippogriff, which is slower. Don't do that. Ride a broom if you want to get there faster, like I do. All of that stuff. Like it's just like, how did it not crash the game every time?
Yeah,
like
the game even
never,
looks good when you're flying that
Yeah,
fast, like you're
it's-
saying. Yeah.
kind of blew my mind. Maybe it's an expectations thing because I love the Harry Potter whole series.
Hey,
So like,
winter
I was
time
like,
and
eh.
Hogwarts Legacy is the coziest thing of
Oh,
the year,
man.
maybe.
It's always, what is it she always said? She always said whenever you'd walk into Hogsmeade. everything's cozy at Hogsmeade. It's like,
Yes,
shut up. Just go inside. Just go there. Just go there and do a mission. Shut up.
I know that it is, but don't tell me that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, they're right though. It is
They're-
pretty
I mean,
cozy
they are
there.
right, yeah.
All right, so maybe this is the order for these four.
Yeah,
for
I would
this-
say so too. And also,
Yeah.
if we want to
Okay.
bring up like how things played, like Hogwarts was way more stable than Star Wars for me. So
which was a surprise because
Yeah,
new team. They did Disney Infinity.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't going to be
Right.
great. Oh,
and mine
think
was the
for
exact
all of us
invert
that played
of Jeff's experience. All my issues were in the back end. I had like no issues on the front
That's-
end. So it's just
That's
like,
right. We had that conversation, and I was
Yeah.
like, how does that happen? It just makes
I fought half of my dark. I can't even say that. I fought half of a big boss fight with that boss halfway in the ground.
oh my god,
Oh.
And that
that
happened
sucks,
twice
dude.
in two big fights.
And that is
Big
such a
cinematic,
huge
cool
moment.
moments. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like
dang.
this person's like in the ground, like just like sweeping at my legs, and I'm like,
Video games, brother.
okay.
That was
yeah.
the most Conan O'Brien
But you
thing. I
never,
think
you
I've ever
know,
done.
you never heard me bitch about it once because I can see the bigger picture instead of focusing on one moment, like in a video
Sure.
game.
That's true.
You know, so it's
Yeah,
like,
I don't think I had any of those. The only thing that happened were like little janky moments of I think I landed on the edge, but it made me fall there. Like it was little
yeah.
gameplay things that I see in every game.
Dude, yeah, that happened, especially in some optional parkour moments or whatever, where I'm like,
Mhm.
come on, bro, like I hit that ledge.
Oh, I think I yelled out, "Oh, we can't reach now!" a few times. In that game. Oh, now we can't reach.
Oh, you have the force, but you
Oh,
can't force
can't
jump
reach
to that
now?
location. Okay,
Yeah, I mean the only games that I didn't have
That's so-
any technical, like there are moments in Alan Wake 2 with someone funky and I just had to reload a last save, like something with the
Yeah.
character, just the way the character loaded in wasn't quite right. Final Fantasy 16, I probably had 5 or 6 moments where where there was some visual glitchiness that I saw. It wasn't
that's
bad.
interesting.
Didn't ruin my gameplay, but I had like the only ones that were super clean for me. In Spider-Man 2, I definitely had some
Well,
glitchy
again, you played
moments.
video games before, so like we never heard you say this because like you've played a game, so it's not something that stands out to you as being like, "Whoa, this
Didn't
is
stand out to
broken."
me. I think
Yeah,
I made
yeah.
fun of Spider-Man 2 because I think I might even take a screenshot of it. I'm taking out a base that was in a previously non-base area as something in the game changes, and there's a couple sitting there having coffee on the side of the building where there's
Oh my
bosses
God.
like
Picture.
enemies walking everywhere, and they're just sitting there having their coffee, and it's like, okay,
Oh, that's right.
I love
remember you
that. Yeah, and
shared that.
open worlds just kind of come with that too.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Open
There's
world
an
jank.
open world
Open
thing
world jank.
Of
Open
these-
world jank, man. Yeah.
of these
every
6,
variable.
the only ones that didn't give me were Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Brothers, and Hi-Fi Rush. I can't think of a moment that I had that I was like, oh, that was a little off, or like that got jittery. That got weird, and I'm sure that it did. I just can't think of any moments when it did.
Mhm.
To me, so if we're talking about like technical fidelity, those are the 3 that were cleanest
Yeah.
for me.
Man.
16, I didn't have
I
any.
had, I'm gonna echo Dan
Yeah,
here. That's
I'm-
really surprising to me.
Yep.
The same way, yeah. I
I
didn't
had
have
It was-
zero.
zero
Which is
issues.
just-
That's
I remember when I was
not-
playing
not to,
16,
like-
like I remember going, this game hasn't crashed for me yet. Every game that I play,
Every
crashes.
single time, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
and
think I had any
not to like
crashes.
look at like past ghosts here with 15. We all know how I feel about 15.
How do you
Um,
forget?
Oh, we love it. Okay, cool. Keep going.
Yeah, that's what I thought. yeah.
But you know, there were some issues then with 15. There was
Yes,
definitely some
I
jank
did
there. There
have
was
some
15
there.
15 crashed on me all the time.
so they knew, and I remember USP like specifying like, listen, like we're gonna really make sure when this game comes out, it's like it's soup to nuts. Like this game is done, it's finished, it works well. Like we're not gonna have to do a day one patch, even though they did, but it was like a
went
very
gold,
minor
like,
thing.
months before it actually came out.
Yeah. Like they were like, we're absolutely like we are doing everything humanly possible to make sure this like
It
is
was very
completely
clean
efficient.
experience. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I can see why they prioritized it. For me, it was usually like transition moments in Final Fantasy 16, loading into an area,
Yeah.
especially when it involved Chocobo. So when I would
Sure.
call the Chocobo
Oh,
in a
sure.
certain spot, it would get stuck in a weird. Like I had it stuck on a tent in that one little village. It was like kind of like trying to run in place towards me, and I couldn't get to. It was like little things like that I had to like.
Yeah.
Let me just reset my save.
Remember in
We
The
do
Witcher
our
3 when
best.
you'd call Roach and he would just appear up on top of
Big
the building?
dude.
Like, at least it
It was-
wasn't that. And we all love that, or most of us love that game. So, yeah.
I can't tell you how many glitches I had in Witcher 3, and it's one of my favorite
all-
games
I had
of all time.
all of them. I had every single one.
I had
of
all
them,
the glitches.
So, yeah, when we talk about like Cyberpunk getting kicked while it's down, Witcher 3 was very messy when it came out. So.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's almost like I don't know, if you go to a restaurant enough times and every once in a while their fries aren't quite as salty, you're kind of like, that's
Yeah.
okay. Everything else they make's delicious every other time.
I
like,
feel
if-
the same exact way.
If there's
yeah.
enough positive, I guess I don't really notice it as much.
Yeah.
But it depends on what the issue is. There are game breaking issues
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
agree. Yeah.
But so I didn't want to. I guess I just didn't think through how that
Much like
affects my
Jeff was
list.
saying, like I'll excuse like dips in frame rate, as long as they're not egregious, you know, like
Yeah,
I could just like like stuff like that just doesn't bother me. You know,
I'll even say sometimes
been
like
playing games a long
screen
time,
got,
guys. You know,
screen got a
little
little
problems
busy.
are just part of it.
Yeah, screened a little bit. Oh, busy screen. Oh,
Screen
Yeah.
got a little busy. That was the other. That's why I say 5 or 6, because there were a couple of the massive, insane, amazing fights in Final Fantasy 16 that I was in where it did stutter a bit. But and it was noticeable to me, who is not a frames per second dude. Now this could also be because I have 9 people in this house who are sometimes streaming things all at the same time, playing video games online and streaming. Like it very much could have just been, for some reason in that moment, my PS5 was connecting or uploading, or I have no idea what was happening. But there were definitely some stutters. So to me, I don't knock Final Fantasy 16 for that. I've got it pretty high on my visuals list, but I still have it below. Let's see, just for me personally, I think I've got it below. Mario Wonder is the only one I have it ranked above out of these. I have it ranked above Mario Wonder, but I've got it behind Tears of the Kingdom, Spider-Man 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Alan Wake, personally. So just kind of don't know if that changes anything, or if that I might be the only one. You guys might all have Final Fantasy 16 1 or 2, which is totally fair if you do.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out
I don't
there.
know. I can't look at my list anymore. I promise myself I will.
Let's talk about Mario Brothers Wonder real quick. We don't have to keep. I don't want to keep harping on being negative about a game. Have all of you played Mario Brothers Wonder?
Yeah,
I 100%ed Mario Wonder. All right.
Tell me your thoughts on the visuals of this game, Dan.
My thought. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, yeah, it's to me, because it's, as far as like if I'm looking at the previous 2D Mario games, side-scrolling Mario games, it's like the best looking one since, I mean, freaking, I don't even know, like
Odyssey maybe.
Well, no, I'm a 2D, like 2D side
2D.
scroll.
Oh, my bad.
Since like friggin' Mario World, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Like it's just it's so unbelievably unique visually. It almost like at times it's like, is this like a painting? Like it has that going for it. Like it kind of has like that painter-esque.
Sometimes it has so much stuff going on screen that it's insane that like nothing dips or nothing.
Yeah.
Like everything's. I don't know. I feel like there's so much chaos on the screen at sometimes. Beautiful chaos.
Agreed.
Chaos.
And when you start doing the tripping balls mode, when you find the flower or whatever it is, the seed.
When you start
and
smoking wonder mushrooms, we know.
Yeah,
what
that's right. Oh yeah, dude.
Start getting high on the flower.
Finally leaned into the mushroom thing. I like that about this game.
It just, things are insane. Like there's and some more than others in the levels, but also the fact that every level has that. So every single level is completely unique and doing something visually different when you hit that seed and things start changing.
And changes the whole level. The layout could be different. There's whole new paths now. Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get a vibe check on Mario Brothers Wonder, and
I
Jeff
have
and
it.
Kyle.
I have
also.
it. I can't even think of a fucking adjective. I have it high, guys. Let's just put it that way.
Speaking of high,
well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Okay. So
Aren't you glad you have me on as a podcaster?
Orange.
Okay, so what else needs to be said about the games that are up here? I feel like there's been something said about all of them, but maybe I'm missing something. Feel free to chime in now, and then we'll probably just go ahead and rank these 6.
I'm like 4 or 5 hours into Alan Wake, and I've been playing. So I was playing Alan Wake 1. I finished it, by the way, with my wife.
Nice.
And we started 2. We watched a video in between to the DLCs and kind of the in between stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
just to
good.
kind of the scratch stuff.
Yes.
I saw what you did there.
That guy's a menace.
He's a problem.
And then going into 2, like, holy shit. Like, oh my god. Like, why does this game look as good as it does?
Yeah.
Like, insane. And like there was a moment where like at Saga, I think it was at the beginning of chapter 2 at the beach, or like by the water, and the sun is setting.
Yes.
And I just was sitting there, and I was like looking at my wife. I was like, "What? Look how good this looks! Look how freaking good this looks!" Like, it was insane, dude. Just and going through the when the sun like hits like through the trees in games, like that shit blows my mind, dude.
Yeah, same
like
here.
it just looks so real, like the way it just hit, in certain angles.
Rays.
Totally agree. And I feel that same way really about all 6 of these games. I think they all, in their own right, have moments where I go, "Why does it look so good?" Hi-Fi Rush is the same way with this like it brought a cartoon / comic book style to life, and it's so smooth, and the way that they even show you visually the music, you see everything moving with the music, everything's bouncing or vibing with the
Everything
music,
feels
and
alive. Yeah,
the
I mean, it
whole
looks better
world
than
is
any
moving.
Saturday morning cartoon, not only that I've ever seen, that has ever come out. It's the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
looking thing of this style I think I've ever seen. So.
And the visuals, because we already talked about the music in a previous episode, it's one of it was great music, but the visuals are also a huge part of that experience. Everything's moving with the music, everything reacts to what you're doing. So when you do a big hit, if you watch the environment around you, everything's kind of reacting to what you're doing too. It's really impressive visual stuff they did.
Cell shading is like not so much a thing anymore. It was like a big thing during the PS2 GameCube era.
We had too much of a good thing there for a little bit.
Yeah, and this is doing that, but obviously in a much higher scale, more like today with today capabilities and ideas, and it just it's nice and crisp and looks like you said like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like it looks really good.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so I think we've said something about everything, right? Okay, any last things before I'll stop sharing my screen. We'll rank these. We'll add it up, and then we'll go to bed all together. All 4 of us in the same
I
bed.
love it. At the same time, yeah. Can't wait. It's cold here in Colorado. I could use the body warmth. So
yeah, it's like, did you ever see that Without a Paddle when they're all freezing?
Yeah,
they have to huddle together, and then that song kicks. I think it's R. Kelly.
My mind is telling me no,
but my body's telling me
body's
yes.
telling me yes. Yeah, good stuff.
He's in jail.
Is that R. Kelly? Was that the wrong artist?
I don't
know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Who
think
that
it is.
Yeah,
I don't. Actually, you know what? I don't know. Don't care.
It's an R&B artist, guys. Okay, let's rank these 6, and then we'll see how that turns out. So let me stop sharing.
Man, I don't know how. I don't even know.
Do you not even know what the games are? Do I need to put them in chat?
No, I know the games. I'm saying in my heart. I don't know what to do.
Okay, so there's 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So to make things, well, let me see here.
Hey, can you throw them in chat? 'Cause I already forgot.
Kyle's what does it count? Does it count?
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I know we've been looking at them for like an hour, but can we?
I know. Hey, whatever, dude. Yeah, I'm dyslexic.
I'm actually
this all
feeling
looks
the
like
same exact
hieroglyphics
way.
to me. So
We're looking at Alan Wake 2, Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, Spider-Man 2, Mario Brothers Wonder, and Tears of the Kingdom. So you guys take a second and just give those a 1 through 6. I'll do the same thing. And the other thing here is it's almost like it's a tie for first. Like as soon as we get to the point where I kind of just get a vibe of let's vote for this because it's hard to really rank based on everything we're saying.
I can't get a vibe for this at all. So the fact that you have one is like
no. The only vibe, the only vibe I have is that I don't think there's a clear leader out of these 6. Maybe there's.
I don't. After the conversation we just had, I don't either.
I don't know that there's a clear leader. So it's better. That's where it's like, all right, we've said some awesome things about a bunch of awesome.
No, games. I think this is a good way to do this.
Let's vote for them. So let me write mine in here. You don't feel good about it?
No, about these 6 I feel great about, but just ordering them in any sort of way is.
I know.
It's a tie. We have a 6-way tie for number 1.
They all get the same amount of points. Could you imagine? We're here forever. We're just here forever. This is the show that doesn't.
Sorry, it's so long.
What's happening?
Yeah, what's happening?
It's just late night shenanigans, guys. Don't worry about it.
Here it is pretty late.
Shenanigans.
It is pretty late, especially for Dan. Yeah.
He goes to bed like at 5 a.m. for some reason.
I'm a big boy. Yeah. Listen, I got like 17 games to catch up on.
Right? All right, as soon as who's ready?
I
got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, everyone's ready. All right. Let's go.
All of us at the same time. Say
let's
it.
Go reverse 1, alphabetical.
2, 3.
Dude, that reminds me. I'm sorry that we always talk about Dudesy, but I'm not sorry at all. That's one of the best podcasts. But there's a whole thing where they're talking over. Do you guys remember that when they're talking over? I forget what it is.
Yeah, no, it's the beef that they're having with
Rick Glassman.
Yeah. He's talking over Rick Glassman, and he won't
6
stop.
Videos deep, yeah.
And they both are talking, and you can't understand what.
But they're watching a video of each other talking about each other. It's like 3 layers deep of like conversations happening with like 9 different people.
Other,
yeah.
And you, the listener, you're trying to hear the clip that they're talking about, but they won't stop talking about it. And so like,
but in that clip, they're talking about someone. It's just it might be the most genius like bit I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Funny. Because at first, because they don't tell you, hey, we're gonna do something crazy here. They just get into it and they start like you see the layers start to build, and then Rick Glassman shows a clip that they're gonna respond to as well. Dude,
it's the best.
I was annoyed because I was just listening and not looking at the screen at that moment. I was like, what is happening? I looked at it.
Yeah.
And I just died. I died laughing.
I can imagine people who just listen to that podcast like being like,
yeah.
What that part was,
yeah, my friend who my producer friend who I forced to listen to the show like a good pal of dudes.
Did it, yeah.
He was telling me like he only listens to it on Spotify or whatever, and he was like, I had to fast forward.
Yeah, the YouTube comment section says that too, where it's like, I just skipped that part.
I could not do it. I let the whole thing play out, and I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was glued to my television, cracking up while that was happening.
So
crying,
it's one of those bits that comes around again, where you're like, "This is not funny anymore." Okay, now it's funny again.
Me and Jeff also watched Taiso, which is Rick Glassman's podcast. So like, we get it multiple. Like we've gotten it on multiple shows. Like it's just, it's I don't know, it's very funny.
All right, let's go reverse alphabetical. So my top list is Alan Wake 2. This is just for visuals. Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, Tears of the Kingdom, Hi-Fi Rush, Final Fantasy 16, Mario Brothers Wonder. Just for these 6. That's not my personal list, but out of these 6, that's how I ranked them. Kyle, how do you rank them? And give me a quick second on each one to add the points in, but go ahead.
A quick point too?
No. A quick second.
He needs to do the math.
The points
I was like, I don't want to do that.
I had to do instant math while you add them in. That's
Final Fantasy 16 is my number 1. Alan Wake 2 is my number 2.
Okay.
Spider-Man 2 is my number 3. Legends of Zelda is my number 4. Hi-Fi Rush is my number 5. Super Mario Brothers Wonder is my number 6.
All right. Did I do that correctly? Doing fast math, like at the end of a board game, I'm trying to make sure that I didn't mess it up. I think that's correct. Anyway, Jeff, go ahead.
You guys are going to hate me so much. All right.
No, we're not.
My number 1.
We like all 6 of these games.
My number 1 is Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay.
That's awesome.
My number 2 is Final Fantasy 16.
Okay.
Number 3 is Mario Bros. Wonder. Mario Wonder.
There it is. That's exactly what it's called.
My number 4 is Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
My number 5 is Zeld's Tatka.
Sure.
And number 6 is Alan Wake 2, just because I haven't played enough of it.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that order?
Because it's like the exact opposite of what everybody's saying.
No,
it's kind of fun.
Right. I'm furious. Look how furious I am.
That felt right to me. Yeah.
I know I'm not showing you the scores as they go, but I actually probably could have because they're very close. So like nothing wrong with your order whatsoever. Go ahead, Dan.
All right.
Resident list lover Dan, are you ready?
I know. Why you guys make me do this? Why you make me do this? Spiderman 2, number 1. I don't know why. It's just number 1.
That's right. You're right.
Oh, I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's gorgeous, but keep going.
Yeah, number 1.
From a
Final
technical
Fantasy
side,
16.
it might be the best performing game of all time.
It's true.
Final 16 is number 2.
Okay.
Alan Wake is number 3.
Okay.
Zelda is number 4.
Okay.
Mario is number 5. And then
Wrong. It's wrong.
Hi-Fi
Move it up. Hi-Fi Rush being 6 is wrong. Move it up.
Hi-Fi Rush is 13.
All right. Let's get back to
if you can grant
sharing
Hi-Fi
the
Rush some mercy
screen.
points, I'd appreciate it.
We have a tie for first between Spider-Man
God damn
2 and Final Fantasy 16.
Nice.
All right, which
We
has
might
the
just do
highest,
we might just do a revote for those two because I think
not the
we might-
Metacritic.
We might because Metacritic's higher for Spider-Man 2. We already know that top of our heads.
Yeah.
So,
I think.
and OpenCritic
Wait.
is-
Wait. Did Tim and Dan had Spider-Man 2 at 1? Do I have that right?
No,
I had it at okay. Was
I
I the
don't
only one that had it at 1?
I had
That was
Alan Wake at
bad.
1. I've got Spider-Man at number 2.
Oh, I see. Okay. Anyway.
Okay, so we got Mario Brothers Wonder at number 6 for sure. We then have a tie between Hi-Fi Rush and Zelda, so that gives the tiebreaker to Zelda at 4, and Hi-Fi Rush at 5. Am I doing that right?
I'm just saying, if we want to talk that one out, I wouldn't mind putting Hi-Fi over Zelda, just because, people feel strongly about Hi-Fi, but whatever, we can decide.
I feel strongly about Tears too. Don't get me back into this, Kyle.
I do too. Yeah, I would choose Tears over Hi-Fi, but if enough people felt different about Hi-Fi,
Okay,
I put it over Hi-Fi, but
okay, so between these two, we could just do the open critic and call it a day, and Spider-Man 2 is the best looking game of the year for us on a shared list, or we could do a
Wow, they rated Final Fantasy 16 that low. It's a PS5 exclusive. Did they not get the memo that they should be rated?
They're both PS5 exclusives.
Wait, what's the Metacritic at for that one, or Open Critic?
I think Open Critic for Spider-Man 2 was actually I can just look. I think it's 90
for 16 though. I
think it's 90 something, isn't it?
I think 16 was like 86 or 7.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Yeah, there it is. 88, 87.
Spider-Man
oh, okay, 88. Okay, that's higher then. Yeah, wasn't like Starfield at 85 or 86 for the longest time?
Yeah.
I'm just pitting two exclusives against each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which ones? Hi-Fi.
But Starfield's 80s is bad. It's a bad version of it.
A Sony 88 is really a 92, is what I was told.
Right. And the Starfield 85
but a Starfield 85 is really a 77. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
we get it.
Jeff went to the school.
Here's what we need. We need a conversion chart. Is what we need.
What you guys are actually doing is console war math, which is basically dipshit math.
Yeah, so you're right. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to read off our top 15, but I want to make it really clear that our top 6 are almost a tie, basically. Maybe a top 5. I guess Mario Wonder was decidedly in 6th place out of those. So let's just say the top 5 for sure were essentially a tie, the way that we had to do that. But here's our top 15. We're going to call it because it's a long episode and we're getting silly. And I like being silly, by the way. Number 15 is Starfield, because that's where it belongs, at the bottom of any list.
Yeah, period.
The two opposites. you got a Sony exclusive at the top.
Hey, Xbox podcast though, guys, right? We're all Xbox.
Oh, we're Xbox. Yeah. Oh yeah, believe it. So we got Starfield at 15, we got Armored Core 6 at 14, Mortal Kombat 1 at 13, Lies of P at 12, Diablo 4 at 11, Jedi Survivor at 10, Hogwarts Legacy at 9, Sea of Stars at 8, Octopath 2 at 7, Mario Brothers Wonder at 6, Hi-Fi Rush at 5, Tears of the Kingdom at 4, Alan Wake 2 at 3, Final Fantasy 16 at 2, and Marvel Spider-Man 2 at number 1. Best looking games of the year. There's so many. It's such a weird thing to compare. I understand it, but it's still fun, at least for me. Sorry if it was torture, but I think it's fun. I like doing this stuff. I'll keep making you rank things for as long as you keep joining the show. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep making you rank things.
Get with the program.
Can't wait for the overall game of the year. We're like
self-abuse.
I don't know. It's just
This is a 9-way tie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. I feel really strongly about everyone just screaming. It's gonna be fun.
This is a 14-way tie. Xbox 15 doesn't count.
All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out and watching the show or listening, however it is that you partake. We appreciate it. And next week will be the final one, I promise. If you're kind of tired of us ranking stuff, don't worry. Next week's the last one. And we'll also just do it. We'll open it up. What other best of or favorite list have we not talked about? So it'll be kind of our last look back at 2023. So everyone on the show will just bring their own
and then we're never going to talk about 2023 ever again.
Yeah, then the year is dead. We're literally burying the year.
You have to redact games that came out in 2023 if you want to retrospect on them going into next year. So.
I do have like 36 games to catch up on.
No, Dan, you don't get to talk about Jedi Survivor at any point this year.
Hogwarts, definitely.
About it.
Right.
Hogwarts,
yeah.
All right, that's fine.
It doesn't count. But
I really liked Redacted.
But I'm still allowed to put in like 100 more hours into Valheim for no reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I want to. But no. All right. Well, that does it for us this week. Thank you guys. We'll see you.